between the United States and Mexico on that border with case, and I won. Donald Trump, on the other hand, has been talking a big game about securing our border, but he does not walk the walk.
Are you kidding me? She's saying this.
Or as my friend Quavo would say, what? He does not walk it like he talks it.
Oh, good, you didn't. Not Quavo. Is he friends with Corn Pop?
They ain't like us. Me and Quavo.
Who the hell is Quavo?
You know,
like Quavo from the block. I'm just Jenny from the block. You said
Quavo's the guy who famously says, he don't walk it like he talk it. Kamala ain't no ways tired. On the topic of immigration, interesting that she brought it up, because the first national TV ad that you'll see in states that matter, so not Illinois.
Right. Anywhere but here, I always say.
The Trump campaign is focused on the borders arena. Here it is.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
This is America's border czar, and she's failed us. Under Harris, over 10 million illegally here. 250,000 Americans dead from fentanyl. Brutal migrant crimes. And ISIS now here.
Do you have any plans to visit the border? You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. I mean, I don't understand the point that you're making.
Kamala Harris failed. Weak, dangerously liberal.
I like the topic. I'm not a huge fan of that ad. I think it's too general. I like a little bit more emotional quotient here when we're talking about the border, because there are just too many stories like this, real stories that you don't need to melodramatize.
People who've been murdered by illegals.
Well, this is where I'm going, and the unfortunately the bodies continue to pile up. This just over the weekend, an El Salvadoran immigrant and here illegally is accused of killing a 54-year-old woman in Virginia after he attempted to carjack her. Then ran her over, 54-year-old Melody Waldecker. And, of course, properly, Trump featured angel moms and dads at the RNC. But I tell the stories. Tell the stories and split screen it, not with I didn't visit the border, because who cares if she visits the border? She visits the border, she walks through tunnels, who cares? What does that do? Split screen it with abolish ICE. Mm-hmm. Split screen it with there's no such thing as an illegal immigrant. You know, the no one can be illegal posture of the left. But the fact that she brought this up and that they're trying to spin her record
spinning everything
as, you know, the prosecutor who went after the cartels to cover up for her open borders disposition is telling. They understand it's a vulnerability, and it is. Trump understands it's a vulnerability, and he's exploiting it.
And you know for sure we're not going to see any angel moms at the DNC. All we're going to hear about is abortion, and how I'm from Texas and I had to travel to blah, blah, blah to get an abortion.
Craig in Mount Greenwood.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy, and do appreciate you taking my call. Listen, boy, I'm glad you're talking about this, because I've been, had a thought in my mind. Trump's playing her like a fiddle. He wants to. I think he really wants a debate and all that, and he wants her to keep taking her mouthing off and putting her, just like Biden put himself in a box with all his mouthing off and talking and everything like that. I think he's playing it just right.
Thanks for the call,
Well,
Craig.
she has new handlers now who are rewriting everything that she stood in. Now she's for fracking. Now she's, going to be for secure borders. They're doing all of that.
Yeah.
They're changing her past before your eyes, people.
She announced that she was for fracking after being opposed to it, completely opposed to it as a candidate for president 2020. Here's that announcement.
I do support fracking, and I support fracking, and I stand, and I do support fracking.
I support fracking, and I support fracking. Right.
Hello. Good night, everybody.
Joey and McHenry are in Chicago's Morning Answer.
How come when it's not asking, How come we're just not asking these simple questions like, what have you done for the American people? Like, and why are we at war with other countries? And why are we sending so much money? What are you going to do about the health care in America? Why does it cost me $90 to fill my tank up with gas? This is simple questions, and let's see what people say. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks for the call, Joey. Well, yeah, I mean, that's all well and good, but everybody in Atlanta was being entertained by Megan Thee Stallion. So they don't have time to worry about the cost of living and overseas
They're getting their dance on. They're having fun.
Did you see when they introduced her?
This guy comes up with the I don't know what he had. I don't know what that facial hairdo is called. And he was so excited he introduced her. She didn't come out. They couldn't even get the cues together for her to come out. So then he tried it again, and then he tried it a third time.
Maybe that was Quavo.
Oh, yeah. I want to know who Quavo is, because people still, seriously, cannot find corn pop anywhere in Delaware.
All right, coming up at 5:38, we've got a little bit more Kamala I want to get to, and then ultimately we've got to turn our attention to the testimony offered by the new director, same as the old director of the Secret Service. We'll start with a little bit more Kamala, take a few more of your calls at 5:38.
And speaking of Secret Service, will Trump be safe when he visits Chicago? Our mayor put out a very strange message on Twitter. But now let's head into the newsroom. Yeah, I said weird. Now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
It's 5:30 on AM 560. The Answer. The Biden administration announcing another round of student debt relief beginning this morning. It will begin emailing borrowers who have at least one outstanding federal student loan. Vice President Kamala Harris daring Donald Trump to debate her.
Donald Trump, on the other hand, has been talking a big game about securing our border, but he does not walk the walk.
The Democrat presidential candidate spoke at a campaign rally Tuesday in front of supporters in Atlanta, while Vice President candidate J.D. Vance is already on the campaign trail for the Republican Trump-Vance ticket, holding rallies in Reno, Nevada.
Rated as the most liberal senator in the entire United States during her tenure, that is not a reasonable moderate. That is a crazy record. She is dangerously liberal, and she will never be the president of the United States because we're not going to let her.
This morning, a professor at Rutgers University is under fire for her comments that she hoped there would be a second assassination attempt on former President Trump. The university conducting a review of Professor Tracy Budd's social media postings. Officials from the Secret Service and FBI facing a grilling on Capitol Hill over the assassination attempt against former President Donald Trump. While testifying before a pair of Senate committees, acting Secret Service Director Ronald Rowe called the shooting a failure on multiple levels.
As a career law enforcement officer and a 25-year veteran with the Secret Service, I cannot defend why that roof was not better secured.
He adds the agency has rolled out new procedures. Hamas political leader Ismail Haniyeh has been killed. Iranian state media reporting Haniyeh was killed alongside his bodyguard today in what Hamas is calling a, quote, Zionist raid, end quote, on his home in Tehran. The U.S. military carried out airstrikes last night in Iraq against a base used by Iranian-aligned militias. The U.S. saying the strike was aimed at militants planning to use drones to attack American forces. 3 are dead now, 9 injured after a prison fight in Nevada at the State Correctional Center in Ely Tuesday afternoon. The popular deli meat company Boar's Head is recalling an additional 7 million pounds of ready-to-eat products made at a Virginia plant as an investigation into a deadly outbreak of Listeria food poisoning continues. The recalls are tied to an ongoing outbreak that has killed 2, 1 in Illinois, and sickened nearly 3 dozen in 13 states, including Indiana and Wisconsin. Person of interest is being questioned tied to an armed robbery that took the life of a Cook County Sheriff's deputy.
It's just crazy, but I know justice. And I know he up there looking down, tell us don't cry, but it's hard.
Cousin Sharika Henry, the Cook County Corrections officer, was killed in a shootout during a stick-up on Chicago's South Side, according to Sheriff Tom Dart.
Someone showed up with guns, and I think they were attempting to rob either his cousin or somebody else at the time. And Raphael tried to defend everyone, and he was killed.
Gunfire was exchanged. Raphael Wordlaw, was shot in the chest. He drove off, crashing a few blocks away before being pronounced dead at a nearby hospital. Former President Donald Trump's invite to the National Association of Black Journalists Convention sparking a small backlash. Trump will be participating in a Q&A today with political journalists about issues facing the black community. The visit drawing a backlash of its own from Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson.
Former President Donald Trump is an abuser. He was quite cruel to many individuals in the black press in particular.
NABJ President Ken Lemon backed the decision to welcome Trump, saying they also welcome the opportunity for members to ask tough questions of the former president. Bears rewarding wideout DJ Moore with the largest contract in franchise history, 4 years, $110 million. Bear fans will have to wait just a little bit longer to see Caleb Williams in game action. Williams will not play Thursday night in the Hall of Fame game. Quarterback Tyson Bagent will start. Cubs lost to the Reds 6-3. White Sox lost to the Royals 4-3. Then traded Eloy Jimenez to Baltimore, Paul DeYoung to Kansas City, and Tanner Banks to the Phillies. The News is a service of Quick Delivery Service. Visit quickdelivery.com when you need same-day delivery of your routes, ground delivery when you need it from safe, licensed professionals. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
News happens fast.
The former president was whisked away after gunshots rang out at his rally north of Pittsburgh.
President Biden wrote in a letter posted on social media. It says it is in the best interest of his party and the country to stand down.
When news breaks.
The best suited to assume the position of Vice President of the United States is Senator J.D. Vance.
It happens here.
I proudly accept your nomination for President of the United States.
This is your breaking news and election station. AM 560, The Answer.
Augustino's Rock and Roll Deli, a family-owned restaurant, a Chicago family favorite for over 40 years. Why? Because they're known for sub sandwiches the size of your forearm. No joke. Their 6-inch sub has more meat and cheese in it than any foot-long in an Irish neighborhood. These sandwiches are iconic, famous for their homemade Italian beef, meatballs, burgers, and, of course, delicious Italian subs loaded with mortadella, cabagol, salami, provolone, and their own secret sauce called Love Potion No. 9. This vinegar and oil dressing is famous on its own. Both Augustino's locations boast walls covered in authentic rock and roll memorabilia and artifacts, all celebrating their love for good old-fashioned rock and roll. Augie's is a feast for your eyes and your stomach. Dine in or carry out. Bring the family or the team. Plus, Augie's caters corporate meetings, parties, and celebrations. Don't make it yourself. Make it happen with Augustino's. Go to Augustinos.com for locations and menus. That's Augustinos.com.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hey, buddy. Good to see you back on the golf course. You must be feeling better, huh?
Yeah, I finally got my blood pressure under control without all the medication side effects.
Wow. New doctor?
No, a superfood juice, believe it or not.
A juice?
Yeah, it's called 120 Life. It's got ingredients like pomegranates, tart cherries, 6 natural ingredients that have shown to control blood pressure.
Huh.
Yeah, it tastes great and has worked wonders.
Awesome. Are you getting a golf cart?
Nope, I'm walking the course today.
Wow. You got any of that 120 Life on you?
Try 120 Life risk-free and get a 2-week trial pack. Order the 8-ounce drink or powdered mix. Go to 120life.com and use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping. They're so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied. Order now. 120life.com. Use coupon code 560 at checkout to save 15% and get free shipping.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
It's 5:40. Let's check our roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Checking the Bishop Ford this morning. Already brake lights, 115th into the Ryan merge. 8094 rollover semi, right lane block. It's on the eastbound side this morning between Clay and Ripley. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Clouds and sun. Maybe a heavy thunderstorm. Hot and humid. High 91. Thunderstorm possible overnight as well. Low 75. Clear and 74 at O'Hare. Fog and 65 in Aurora. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We're talking about reparation age Kamala Harris in Atlanta, rallying the faithful there in the swing state of Georgia. And as we await with bated breath the announcement of whoever will be her running mate, that really seems to be an open question. I don't know. I'm just reading between the lines.
What are you thinking now?
Well, I'm thinking that she may have trouble convincing, say, Mark Kelly from Arizona, Senator Mark Kelly, to do it. Because now you see some reporting like, Tim Walz from Minnesota there's a lot of enthusiasm behind him because he's the one that came up with, what a genius. He's the one who came up with weird. Call J.D. Vance and then by extension Trump and all the MAGA Republicans weird.
Oh, what a great political mind.
Well, that was, it's right. It's such a
I can't
keen
stand
insight.
him. The more I learn about him, and that white dudes for Kamala thing, he's like, we need to be more progressive. He pulled the wool over the eyes of a lot of Minnesotans, I can tell you that.
Well, I mean, Minnesota, Minnesota's a bit of a weird state.
Did you, Dan, that word is reserved for Republicans, please.
Especially politically. I mean,
They are, yeah. They had, what's his name?
Jesse the
Ventura.
Jesse the Body. Well, that's the least of their offenses.
Right. He actually turned out to be normal compared to this guy.
And the Republicans are always of the Vichy variety when you do get a Republican breakthrough in Minnesota. For the most part, I'm talking about the statewide level. Obviously, there's some conservative areas outside of the Twin Cities. So it's a weird. Anyway, I don't really know. I don't really care that much.
But she's going to string this out, so she's going to pull the media along, and then on Monday they said she's going to make her announcement, and that this week she's going to be spending her time meeting one-on-one with the prospective candidates.
Well, I mean, if it's Tim Walz, that'd be great because then they both have a lot of explaining to do, explaining about the Minnesota Freedom Fund back in the Summer of Love of 2020. America 2100 put together a good compilation on that.
The summer of 2020 brought America to the brink of collapse. Our country was on fire.
violent anarchy consumed our cities. A poisonous anti-American ideology laid siege to our institutions, and Kamala Harris cheered it on. In Minneapolis, the epicenter of the violent revolution, Kamala helped fundraise for the Minnesota Freedom Fund, a far-left activist group dedicated to breaking criminals out of jail. With Kamala's help, the Freedom Fund raised more than $41 million in 2020 alone. It used that money to post bail for rapists, murderers, and other violent criminals, many of whom promptly used their freedom to commit more violent crimes. The Freedom Fund used its cash to pay the $350,000 bail for Christopher Boswell, a twice-convicted rapist who was in jail at the time for beating 2 other women. 8 months later, Boswell was back in jail for strangling another woman and threatening to shoot her in the face. Sean Michael Tillman was in jail for sex crimes. Just a few months after he was freed by the Freedom Fund, he shot and killed a man on a light rail platform. George Howard was in jail for domestic assault. 18 days after he was freed by the Freedom Fund, he shot and killed a man in a fit of road rage. Gregory Jones was in jail for attempting to rape a woman in a bar bathroom. Just 3 days after the Freedom Fund posted his $40,000 bail, he was arrested again for masturbating in front of children at a school.
God.
There are many, many more stories like this, but Kamala Harris doesn't care. In fact, she's still actively raising money for the Freedom Fund today. Does America really want someone like that in the White House?
Yeah, I think the connection, too, as we were discussing before Mike Scott's news, between Kamala on domestic crime and Kamala on all of the crime that has been welcomed into this country through our welcome mat called the southern border. I think there's a real twofer there that has a bit of a multiplier effect. So I like zeroing in on those topics.
Wait, so if Mark Kelly turns it down and Shapiro might turn it down, we don't know.
Well, we'll see if Shapiro, if they can figure out a way to select somebody who is Jewish and a supporter of the state of Israel.
And isn't that sad that that's an actual problem or a concern? Are you kidding me?
Well, that's the
what
Democrat.
Is wrong with
that's
this
the
country?
Democrat. So it's not this country; it's that party.
That party. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
So if he says no, or if he's are they going to go with J.B. Pritzker? He might be all they have left.
P-Butt still in the running.
That's right.
Don't forget, he put his breastplate on and hosted that honky bitches for Kamala.
White dudes for Kamala.
Yeah, it's close enough. Yeah, that's basically what it was.
Yeah, that's right. He was a ringleader. I forgot, and he's really vying for it. Pee Wee Herman, Redux. And he did go on Fox News. He was on all the Sunday shows.
Oh yeah,
this morning.
he's one of the favorite mouthpieces, and I'm not just talking about for Chasen.
Okay, stop.
I mean, you've set it up. I mean, I know
former
that,
Channel 5 intern.
That was an appeal to prurient interest. Yeah. I can't resist. Something else you may want to hear some commentary on Kamala. Judge Joe Brown.
Oh, I remember Judge Joe Brown.
Remember, he's one of those TV judges.
Yeah, it was so funny. What if our can I tell this story real quick?
He's one of those TV judges like Merchan from Manhattan, one of those TV judges, Judge Joe Brown.
My friend from Detroit, they were doing a Black History Month, and they had a picture of Martin Luther King Jr., and the teacher asked the class, does anybody know who this is? And my friend's son raised it. He goes, yeah, Judge Joe Brown. I know.
Well.
But it was so cute. I mean, it was so innocent.
And your son's kid is 22. How old is he?
No, I don't remember what year it was, but he thought that was Judge Joe Brown.
Well, in its heyday, it was all Judge Joe Brown all the time.
I know. It was cute.
Anyway.
He knows who Martin Luther King Jr. is.
Okay. Judge Joe Brown has some particular viewpoints on Kamala Harris. Gird your loins.
Okay.
Judge Joe Brown was on this show called Art of the Dialogue, and he just basically prompted to give his opinion of Kamala Harris, and he gave it.
But I got to ask you about Kamala Harris. How you feel about her?
She's a piece of I was in California. She lacked professional competence, and she worked on it by hiking up her hemline when she needed influence rather than researching. She's always tried to do the casting couch to get where she wants. Now, the problem is that'll get somebody to a certain level quickly, but you can't get past that level if you don't have competence and talent. So my thing about it is if I'm crude about it, in this city years ago, I used to represent a whole bunch of pimps and hoes, and I know a hoe when I see one. And I say this, I don't care, women, you do what you want to do if you want to have recreational sex, but when you do the casting couch or anything else for professional purposes to get paid or advance, you a hoe. And she's an old hoe. And the problem is what is she supposed to do?
Judge Joe Brown, he got his JD from UCLA, and I believe, unlike Kamala, he passed the bar the first go-around. I'm just saying.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. And here's one thing. If she had two alleged affairs, one with Willie Brown and one with maybe Montel Williams, why isn't that fair game? Because if it's a man, I mean, she wants equity and inclusion. We should treat her the same way that we treat men. Get Willie Brown up there like they did Stormy Daniels or, Monica Lewinsky or Paula Jones or, make them a household name like they made those ladies a household name.
Bob in Buffalo Grove.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Always great talking to you. This is priceless. Calling the Republicans, Trump, the party weird. The party, they ought to hold up a mirror to themselves. What's been going on for the last 3 or 4 years in the Biden administration. What was that nonsense a couple of months ago or last year with the a meeting at the White House with the gays and you name it? I mean, talk about weird.
Yeah. No, there was dudes running around with their boobs out.
Yeah, fake boobs. Their implants.
Thanks for the call, Bob. Yeah, speaking of the
Gay Pride Month.
Speaking of the weird thing, first of all, obviously it's a function of projection, which is a feature of the left, and the other feature of the left is there's, central command, and the memo goes out. This is what you shall rinse and repeat, and they do.
Some of what he and his running mate are saying, well, it's just plain weird.
These guys are just weird. That's who they are. As weird and creepy as J.D. Vance. Super weird idea from J.D. Vance.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's quite weird. They're just plain weird.
Just plain weird. Just plain weird.
That stuff is weird. They come across weird, and then they start being weird. Yeah, they're weird.
Being a really weird.
He's such a weirdo.
Donald Trump and his weirdo running mate, they're weird. Deeply and profoundly weird.
They are weird.
These Republicans just being weird, it's just weird. It's really weird.
Republican weirdness goes even deeper.
He said a lot of things that are weird, a weird style that he brings, weird policies. Let's start with the weird thing, because it is a thing.
Just plain weird.
What was weird was talking about...
So, this is the party. If you want to share a brain, this is the party that you affiliate with. So that... Yeah, I mean, it just sort of radiates out from the bulbous head at the center of the earth.
They get the same memo on these are going to be your talking points for today. Because I'll never forget the day that Newsroom and Pritzker both talked about how DeSantis should be imprisoned for sending, illegals to Martha's Vineyard or something like that. It was just weird.
Weird.
Oh, did I just say weird?
I got you doing it. Tony, Southside.
Oh, I ain't no ways tired. Listen.
They ain't like us, Tony. They ain't.
Wait a minute. So they're talking about weird. I could go down a laundry list of weirdos on the Democrat side. You got Al Franken, Rosa DeLaRosa with the blue hair, that old lady. You got John Thurman and Buttigieg breastfeeding a baby with a thing. That's
chest
weird.
feeding.
No.
Whatever. It's weird. That's weird. So it's like the pot calling the kettle black. I mean, it's not even close. It's ridiculous. Nobody's going to buy this stuff. See you guys later.
Thanks, Tony. Rich in Indian Head Park.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. What I can't see is why isn't she jumping to the opportunity to talk to black journalists if she wants to put her record up against Donald Trump's, like she says that it's so good.
Well, I found out from...
She's afraid to talk to him because she knows that her and Biden haven't done anything for the black communities. You guys have a good day.
Well, by Monday, they hadn't heard from her, and I think She must have been pretty surprised when Trump accepted the invitation, and they didn't get to it. So now they're saying that it was impossible. Now they're saying they can't do it with her schedule.
Yeah, I don't think that she was surprised that Trump did it, or maybe she could be surprised by anything. But people who know what they're doing around her, there's nothing surprising about it. It's consistent with this counterintuitive play that Trump has made since 2016. I mean, I remind people, in 2016, he's in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is a swing state, yes, but he's speaking to a black audience, mainly black audience. And I understand it was speaking to a mainly black audience, but it was a message to Charlotte suburbs. I get it. But still, he was still there the weekend before the election saying, what do you have to lose? If things have not been going well, and you had the first black president of the United States for the past 2 terms, then what do you have to lose by taking a chance on somebody who is telling you that I'm going to make these commitments and keep these commitments to specifically benefit black American families? No,
Wasn't the black unemployment rate the lowest it's been?
It was in the Trump administration. But and so the point is that he has persisted with this outreach, and maybe after 8 years, it's going to start to bear some real fruit. I think there's a lot of reason to believe that, at least among black men, there's going to be enough of an increase in Trump support that he may maybe double his total amount of black vote from 2020 to 2024. Maybe it goes from 8% to 16%. But that's potentially very impactful when you have big urban centers with concentrations of black voters in swing states like the state I just mentioned, North Carolina, or the state that Kamala Harris was in last night, Georgia.
And Trump's going to be in Pennsylvania today and then in Chicago. And by the way, he's going to be safe. Our mayor, real quick, put out a tweet saying, my administration's values and practices are in complete opposition to former Trump's agenda, blah, blah, blah. But I want the people of Chicago to know that the city departments and agencies are fully prepared to uphold safety during his visit.
Well, I hope he...
Gee, thanks.
I hope he's more safe in the city than most of the residents, like that deputy sheriff, the 31 deputy sheriff who was killed in the Woodlawn neighborhood. Yeah. I wish he had that same sort of commitment to people who agree or disagree with him, all of the above, in the actual city, that live in the city on a daily basis, not just who visit with their own security detail in tow. Gabby in Schaumburg, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning. I had a good idea for Kamala and her team. It's a new bumper sticker. It's called Massa, and it's Make America Slutty Again.
Hi-oh.
Oh, wow.
Oh, boy.
Hey-oh.
Channeling Judge Joe Brown there.
I can't... That interview, that's shocking. Wow.
I mean, he calls it like he's calling balls and strikes, like Judge Joe Brown does.
That's what he does. He's a judge. He knows.
In the great Wapner tradition.
Dun, dun, dun.
Where's Doug Llewellyn?
Dun, dun,
I miss Doug Llewellyn. Mike Littleton, Colorado.
Good morning, and thank you so much. I love your show. We can't look past the fact, as crazy as these people are, it's like staring at a freak show. They do win elections, right, John? Fetterwoman, the whole bit. I mean, so we can't look past that and just simply call them crazy. And I can't hang up without saying that every time I listen to Kamala Harris talk, I'm scared that AT&T is going to send me a bill for $3 a minute for the first minute, and a minute, $1 for every minute thereafter, with the breathy, "Oh, we need to stop the war." Boy, I wish I'd have thought of that. Unbelievable. Anybody that would even think of voting for somebody like that. Really, I don't believe in re-education camps, but maybe some basic education would help them. Thank you both so much.
Thanks, Mike.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
As everyone can tell, we're living in turbulent times. During times of uncertainty like World War II and 9/11, people have often turned to God. In times like these, Fox Valley Coins in Naperville, Illinois reminds all Americans of the ancient promise found in 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. This is not a political statement. It's a call to all God-fearing Americans to do as God's word instructs. America needs healing now. Whether you're for the guy on the left or the right or neither, everyone needs to heed the word of God as 2 Chronicles instructs us. May God bless all our leaders and God bless the USA. This message is brought to you by Fox Valley Coins on Route 59, Naperville, Illinois.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
All right, at 6:06, the acting director, same as the former director of Secret Service, testified before a Senate committee yesterday. We'll have Ronald Rose in exchanges with Republican senators at 6:06.
But first, let's stop into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
An off-duty Cook County corrections officer killed in a shootout. Trump to Chicago to speak to the National Association of Black Journalists. WING Chicago.
No comment yet from Israel. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. But Iran's supreme leader is already vowing revenge for an airstrike in his country that killed Hamas's political leader.
Ismail Haniyeh is the most senior Hamas commander to be killed since October 7th. So he was living in Qatar. He was briefly in Iran for the swearing in of the new president. And we're hearing more official confirmation this morning from Iran's Revolutionary Guard that confirmed that Haniyeh, as well as his bodyguard, were killed after a targeted strike on the home that he was staying in Tehran.
Fox's Alex Hogan. Israel had vowed to kill Hamas's leaders after the terror attack that triggered the war in Gaza. Now, Israel also vowed to retaliate for the weekend rocket attack in the Golan Heights that killed 12 children. And an airstrike in Beirut, hours before the one in Iran, killed a top Hezbollah militant commander. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin says,
"We're going to do everything we can to make sure that we keep things from turning into a broader conflict."
Former President Trump posted on Truth Social overnight, "Nobody invaded anybody when he was president," adding what a different world it would be under Trump. Now, he'll rally today in Pennsylvania. His new November rival, Vice President Harris, will go there next Tuesday with her running mate, though she hasn't announced who that is yet.
This campaign is about two very different visions for our nation. One focused on the future, the other focused on the past.
That was at a Harris rally in Atlanta where the crowd chanted, "Lock him up," as the vice president again urged former President Trump to debate her. At the Paris Olympics, the men and women's triathlon is on. The day after it was postponed because of poor water and quality in the Sun River. The day after, the U.S. women's gymnastics team won gold, led by Simone Biles, whose 8 career Olympic medals are the most ever for an American gymnast. America's listening to Fox News.
73 degrees in Chicago at 6:02 on AM 560, The Answer. And good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Scott. The popular deli meat company Boar's Head this morning recalling an additional 7 million pounds of ready-to-eat products after a deadly outbreak of Listeria food poisoning continues. The new recall involves products made between May 10 and July 29 under the Boar's Head and Old Country brand names. Now, the recalls are tied to an ongoing outbreak that has killed 2, 1 here in Illinois, and sickened nearly 3 dozen in 13 states, including Indiana and Wisconsin. A person of interest is being questioned, tied to an armed robbery that took the life of a Cook County Sheriff's deputy.
It's just crazy, but I know he justice, and I know he up there looking down, tell us don't cry, but it's hard.
The Cook County Corrections officer was killed in a shootout during a stick-up on Chicago's South Side. Sheriff Tom Dart.
Someone showed up with guns, and I think they were attempting to rob either his cousin or somebody else at the time, and Raphael tried to defend everyone, and he was killed.
Raphael Wardlaw was at that gas station early yesterday when gunfire broke out. Wardlaw was shot in the chest. He did drive off, then crashed a few blocks later before being pronounced dead at a nearby hospital. One person is dead, another wounded following a road rage incident involving two vehicles in Schiller Park. Police say shots were fired yesterday near Irving Park and Scott. Fire crews were called to the scene of a blaze that broke out at a West Suburban restaurant Tuesday afternoon. According to Franklin Park Fire, the blaze erupted at Sneakers Sports Bar and Grill. It's unclear what sparked that fire. Chicago sports, Bears rewarding wideout DJ Moore with the largest contract in franchise history. 4 years, $110 million, $82 million guaranteed. Cubs lost to the Reds 6-3 and then sold off a bullpen piece at the deadline, sending right-hander Mark Leiter Jr. to the Yankees. White Sox lost to the Royals 4-3, then completed their fire sale by sending Eloy Jimenez to Baltimore, Paul DeJong to Kansas City, and Tanner Banks to the Phillies. 6:04 is our time. We'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
News happens fast.
The former president was whisked away after gunshots rang out at his rally north of Pittsburgh.
President Biden wrote in a letter posted on social media. It says it is in the best interest of his party and the country to stand down.
When news breaks.
Best suited to assume the position of Vice President of the United States is Senator J.D. Vance.
It happens here.
I proudly accept your nomination for President of the United States.
This is your breaking news and election station. AM 560, The Answer.
For over 10 years, the award-winning KWCC Construction has been building a better future locally and throughout the Midwest, constructing with detailed planning and execution, completing projects safely, timely, and with transparency. If you've ever visited the Wilder Park Promenade along the Riverwalk in Aurora or driven past the recently revitalized Copley Hospital, you're looking at the quality construction of KWCC. Maybe you've seen the adaptive reuse of 80 South River Street in downtown Aurora, which now includes residences and businesses that have revitalized the area. No matter the project, KWCC Construction offers services from indoors to outdoors, conception to completion. In fact, KWCC was recognized as 2022's best project in landscape and urban development. Highly recommended. A general contracting company you can count on. That's KWCC. To request a proposal for your project, visit kwccinc.com. That's kwccinc.com.
For anyone living with everyday aches and pains, there's a lot of things you can try. You know, tough it out, bite the bullet, grin and bear it. Or you can try something that has helped so many other people, Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that addresses the inflammation where pain starts. And Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain for a short time. It helps reduce or even eliminate it all day, every day. Wherever you're hurting, your back, neck, joints, or muscles, in about 3 weeks or less, you'll see a difference and rediscover what it's like to feel better and live better. So if everyday pain is affecting your life, don't go with the mind over matter approach. Try Relief Factor instead. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $240. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part, my guidance cost you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
6:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of In Grace with Jim Scudder Jr. Now heard Sunday morning at 6:30 here on AM 560. Kennedy inbound 28 minutes, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Delays as well showing up on the Stevenson inbound. You're delayed now central to Kedzie, 28 in to DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Tri-State jamming up Roosevelt to the Ike. Southbounders, disabled vehicle blocking a left-hand lane. That's southbound right before Plainfield Road. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Clouds and sun, thunderstorm, hot and humid today, the high 91. Cloudy, warm and humid, a drenching thunderstorm late tonight, some flash flooding possible, low 75. Heavy thunderstorm tomorrow could bring about an isolated tornado, high 88. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Partly cloudy, 73 at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Susan Crabtree, who is the White House correspondent for Real Clear Politics, she posted yesterday an exclusive whistleblower, anonymous, coming from inside Secret Service, sent an email. Susan Crabtree is reporting here. Secret Service counter sniper sent an email Monday night to the entire uniformed division, not agents, saying he will not stop speaking out until, quote, 5 high-level supervisors, one down, are either fired or removed from their current positions.
Wow.
The counter sniper also said the agency should expect another assassination attempt before November, and complained he is no longer proud to be U.S. Secret Service counter sniper after leadership failed the officers at the Trump rally on July 13. Quoting the email, the agency needs to change. If not now, when? The next assassination in 30 days? Continuing, sadly, we have fallen short for years. We just look good doing it. I have conveyed these thoughts to not only supervisors, to include the current captain of counter snipers, but those responsible for training, only to be brushed off as those with less experience somehow knew more than me. The team I was once proud to be a part of is something I have to somehow hide as I move into my next career. Who wants to hire a U.S. Secret Service counter sniper guy who failed? That's the public perception I'm now faced with. The U.S. Secret Service counter sniper team is a stain I will never be able to cleanse. He concluded with these two lines, quote, the motto of the United States Secret Service, CYA, and every supervisor is doing it right now. Crabtree reporting that the agency quickly deleted the email, according to a source of hers. Well, he appears to be fairly correct about the current motto of the Secret Service. We saw it on display during the disastrous testimony of former Secret Service Director Kim Cheadle last week. There was another opportunity yesterday before Senate Judiciary. Acting Secret Service Director Ronald Rowe, who, by the way, just to factor this in.
Yeah, people should know this.
Former staffer for Senate Judiciary Chairman Pat Leahy, Democrat of Vermont, when he chaired that committee. So he's not sort of this, he's professional law enforcement in the Secret Service for a long time, but that doesn't mean he doesn't come to the table with political viewpoints. Okay. So he starts by saying that what happened on January 13 was this.
This was a failure of imagination.
What is that?
A failure to imagine that we actually do live in a very dangerous world where people do actually want to do harm to our protectees. I think it was a failure to challenge our own assumptions. The assumptions that we know our partners are going to do everything they can, and they do this every day. But we didn't challenge our own assumptions of, we assume that someone's going to cover that. We assume that there's going to be uniform presence. We didn't challenge that internally during that advance.
What a mealy-mouth answer. I mean, just say we failed. Why does that have to be a failure of imagination?
Well, what
does that even mean?
It's a failure to imagine that we live in a dangerous world where there are people that are willing to commit violent acts for political reasons against political figures. This is something that had not been previously imagined by Secret Service. That's the rationale for your existence. What are you talking about?
That's been going on since the beginning of time when we've had presidents.
So you didn't imagine there were people that would intend to do Trump or other politicians harm. That was just not imagined. This comes as a surprise to you. It's absurd.
312.
And then the other thing he did, which they're continuing to do in a very slimy way, is to offload responsibility while pretending to take responsibility. We didn't imagine our local law enforcement partners would fail. That's what he was basically saying. We didn't imagine it. But that's on us that they failed. But they failed. But hey, that's on us. We're taking responsibility. No. This is what you're getting. This Ronald Rowe, from the testimony that I saw, which was most of it.
He should step down, too.
New acting director, same as recently resigned director.
Bye-bye. 312-642-5600. Turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us on the same line.
To the issue of accountability, and to that counter sniper, that anonymous counter sniper wrote that email about wanting these supervisors to resign and so forth. This was a really illustrative exchange if you want to understand the ruling class mentality of the permanent government. This is between Missouri Senator Josh Hawley and Ronald Rowe. And it's an extended clip, but I think you can't watch the quick cuts you get on TV news or other programs and fully appreciate it. You really have to hear the back and forth to get a full appreciation for what's going on and the attitudes this exchange highlight. Hawley is trying to get to the... You've had 3 weeks now. Have you identified the decision makers who made bad decisions and disciplined them? That's essentially the thrust of this exchange.
So, Senator, when we post up, our methodology is to look at things that can see in on our protectees so that they can provide that coverage.
But why is there not a Secret Service counter sniper there with clear line of sight? That roof has a clear line of sight to the former president. Why didn't you put a Secret Service counter sniper there?
The Secret Service's counter sniper role is to neutralize those threats that are looking in on us. From where the protectee is, not necessarily
you think maybe
position.
You might want to revise that protocol in light of what happened here?
They were protecting the principal, and I think the
principal got shot.
I understand that, sir.
So do you think you might want to revise the protocol? Let me ask you this. Who was the lead site agent who made the decision to leave the AGR building completely outside of the security perimeter? Who was that?
Senator, I cannot give you that name. This person is operational. They're still doing investigations. They're still doing protective visits.
Have they been relieved of duty?
Senator, they have not been relieved of duty.
I know their name, by the way. Why have they not been relieved of duty?
They are still cooperating, not only being interviewed by the FBI, but also by our Office of Professional Responsibility. And we will let the facts of the mission assurance and any further investigations play out.
Isn't the fact that a former president was shot, that a good American is dead, that other Americans were critically wounded, isn't that enough mission failure for you to say that the person who decided that building should not be in the security perimeter probably ought to be stepped down?
Senator, I think you're using the word decided, and I think we need to allow the investigation play out to include.
Who did make the decision then? If it wasn't the lead site agent, who made the decision not to put that in the security perimeter?
Senator, you're zeroing in on one particular agent. I want to find out exactly what was the entire decision process. So I think I want to be neutral and make sure that we get to the bottom of it and interview everybody in order to determine if there was more than one person who perhaps exercised bad judgment.
Well, sure. My question is, why don't you relieve everybody of duty who made bad judgment? So, yeah, you're right. I am zeroing in on somebody. I'm trying to find somebody who's accountable here.
And
you're telling me that the person who made the decision not to include this in the perimeter has not been relieved of duty. What about the person who's in charge of the interoperability of radio frequencies between local law enforcement and Secret Service? Has that person been relieved of duty?
No, Senator, because interoperability is a challenge, is a greater challenge than just one person. On that day, we had a counterpart system. It failed
As the person who made the decision to send Donald Trump onto stage knowing that you had a security situation, has that person been relieved of duty?
No, sir, they haven't.
Has the person who decided not to pull the former president off of stage when you knew that, in your words, the locals were working a serious security situation, has that person been relieved of duty?
No, sir. Again, I refer you back to my original answer that we are investigating this through a mission assurance. And as opposed to zeroing in on one,
what more do you need to investigate to know
exactly what the decision-making process was?
What more do you need to investigate to know that there were critical enough failures that some individuals ought to be held accountable? I mean, what more do you need to know?
What I need to know is exactly what happened, and I need my investigators to do their job. And I cannot.
A lot of people didn't do their jobs.
I cannot put my thumb on the scale. Otherwise,
what do you mean put your thumb on the scale?
You're asking me, Senator, to completely make a rush to judgment about somebody failing. I acknowledge this was a failure of the Secret Service.
Is it not prima facie that somebody has failed? A former president was shot.
Sir, this could have been our Texas school book depository. I have lost sleep over that for the last 17 days,
then
just like you have.
Somebody
and
to
I
hold
will tell
them
you,
accountable.
Senator, I will tell you, Senator, that I will not rush to judgment, that people will be held accountable, and I will do so with integrity and not rush to judgment and put people unfairly persecuted.
Unfairly persecuted?
Unfairly,
we've got people who are
we
dead.
have to be able to have a proper investigation into this.
It's the classic CYA play, just as that anonymous counter sniper said in his email. The motto is CYA, the classic CYA play. Everyone is collectively responsible, so no one is individually responsible. The agency takes the hit. No agents or supervisors or directors take the hit. It's classic. This is what you see over and over again at government at every level, including the highest levels, including in the most sensitive agencies, and including in the agencies with the most power under the law.
There's no empathy for the one who's dead, for Corey and then 3 others shot, including President Trump.
Unfairly prosecuted. Unfairly persecuted. The supervisor, the site supervisor. Everybody knows who he is. Site supervisor. Everyone concedes that the Secret Service has complete command control of the footprint. There wasn't a counter sniper on that roof. There should have been. They admit it's a failure. Is the site supervisor responsible? No. Is when they got word there was a security issue, and as you'll hear in the exchange with Mike Lee, when they got word there's a guy with a gun, the comms failed, but the person responsible for making sure that the comms between local and Secret Service are integrated, that failed. You just heard him say,
right?
But that person responsible for making sure that it doesn't fail is not responsible. The word that may have gone to Secret Service before the shot was fired, that there's guy on gun with roof, and nobody pulls him off the stage
or shoots at him.
But that person is also not responsible. Nobody is individually responsible because the agency, the non-human generic Borg called the agency will take the hit because the agency will continue on. And then so can all the individuals there. That's what that anonymous counter sniper is talking about. Exactly what you just heard. The counter sniper, a little bit more from the Josh Hawley exchange, including on the issue of drones.
Do you know if someone was supposed to be on the roof? Do you know if someone was in fact? That's what the whistleblower tells me. That may or may not be accurate. Do you know that to be the fact? Was somebody posted to the roof, local law enforcement or whomever?
I do not know that to be a fact.
Well, can I ask you why you don't know that?
Again, Senator, we are looking at this, and they should have been on that roof. And the fact that they were in the building is something that I'm still trying to understand.
I just want to express my frustration, Director, that 17 days or whatever it's been, that whistleblowers are telling us more than you are, and you don't know, you haven't ascertained if there was supposed to be law enforcement on the roof. That seems like a pretty basic fact. I'm also told that local law enforcement suppliers offered the Secret Service drones, and you declined them. Is that true?
So, Senator, one, I've been very transparent and forthcoming.
Your agency has not been transparent and forthcoming, so please, let's not go there.
I have been forthcoming, sir.
That remains to be seen. You've been on the job a few days. So far, you've fired nobody. Now, the drones.
Thank you,
Were
sir.
you offered drones?
Senator Hawley. So there was an offer to fly a drone on that day.
And why did you deny it?
Again, I think the ability of local law enforcement to provide an asset, we probably should have taken them up on it if it was offered.
Well, you just said it was offered. But the person who didn't take anybody up on the offer, that person is also not responsible. The agency is responsible.
I mean, this is a hot mess. I mean, but you know who was able to fly a drone and who did successfully was the shooter. 3 hours before the event.
These answers. I don't know if there should have been somebody on the roof, but I can't tell you why there wasn't somebody on the roof. If there should have been somebody on the roof, this is like listening to Christopher Wray say, "I can't tell you. I don't know if there were FBI agents, on the around the Capitol on January 6th. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. I have no idea. 3 weeks, and you don't know. You haven't looked at what the security plan was in advance of that rally on July 13th, and you haven't talked to the SWAT team. Pennsylvania SWAT team is talking to ABC News, and they're saying they never got briefed by the Secret Service that they were supposed to.
Never got briefed, and they weren't on the same community radio channels.
Jordan in Antioch.
Good morning. Hey, listen, I know that this comes as no surprise to the people that have, been paying attention and had their eyes up, but this should come as no surprise. It has finally gotten to the point now where we've had a presidential candidate, an assassination attempt on that. This government is the single largest example of the fake it till you make it a business model and the culture in the United States. It's the FBI, complete, and the leadership of the FBI, complete and total failure. DEA and ATF, complete and total failure. The Secret Service, I mean, the list goes on. The TSA, the EPA, every single organization, right up and through our federal government, our Congress, and our executive branch, complete, inept, incompetent failures. They fake it till they make it, and now it's being put on display. So if people are listening to this and think this is just about a presidential or an assassination attempt on Donald Trump, no. This election in November. And I don't like that, everybody hypes this, but I think it's true more now than ever when it's being put out right between your eyes. This election is more than just about the right of some guy to pee in another guy's mouth in the middle of San Francisco or for you to go and kill your baby. This election is about the integrity of our nation right down to it through the entire government. And if you don't see that our government has been just a complete inept failure because of the people that have been put in these positions, you are just blind, completely blind. And I'm amazed that it has finally gotten to this point where these people are sitting on the stage in front of the public eye, where people can start to finally realize and bring into focus the absolute, abstract, complete failure that our federal government and all of its agencies are.
Thanks for the call, Jordan. When we come back, I want to get to Mike Lee's exchange with Ronald Rowe as well. This is important because this is about the comms in that moment when the shooter had been located and identified, and the time that there was for a decision to be made to pull Trump off the stage, to give the counter sniper the green light to shoot on the would-be assassin. This is an important part of the testimony yesterday, too, and we'll get to that and take more of your calls. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Scott Bartmus, co-founder of ESCO, a security and fire alarm services business, and a customer of Signature Bank. We work hard to give our customers peace of mind, so it's nice to know that while we have our customers' backs, partners like Signature Bank have ours. When COVID hit, there was a lot of uncertainty for many businesses, particularly surrounding the PPP loan program, with parameters and deadlines changing constantly. The executives from Signature Bank worked weekends alongside their staff, filling out and submitting applications to ensure they took care of us. That type of dedication is hard to find, but we found it with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This is Seth Leibson for townhall.com. It took less than a week between Vice President Kamala Harris to criticize and put distance between the United States and Israel before Hezbollah launched a rocket attack on the Golan Heights in Israel, killing 12 children in a soccer field, maiming many others. In reprisal, Israel has now targeted Hezbollah commander Fuad Shukur, who's been wanted by both Israel and the U.S. for years. Shukur was part of the planning of the 1983 attack on U.S. Marines in Lebanon, killing 241 of our U.S. brethren. It's a good reminder of Iran being behind massive attacks on and killings of Americans, from Lebanon to Israel, from Saudi Arabia to Iraq to South and Central America to Washington, D.C. and New York. The Obama-Biden-Harris Iran policy has been one of enabling and enriching Iran, relaxing sanctions, and emboldening the mullahs in Tehran. It's a dangerous moment, made possible by President Obama, President Biden, and Vice President Harris. It's a record of shame.
It's news, opinion, and insight at the speed of your life. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app, or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer Chicago.
6:31 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Hundreds of rescue workers are searching through debris from landslides that have killed 151 in southern India. The acting director of the Secret Service says he's ashamed of the security breach that led to the recent shooting of former President Donald Trump.
Neither the Secret Service counter-sniper teams nor members of the former president's security detail had any knowledge that there was a man on the roof of the AGR building with a firearm.
Secret Service officials were grilled on Capitol Hill. The Biden administration announcing another round of student debt relief. The Department of Education says beginning tomorrow, it will email borrowers who have at least one outstanding federal student loan. Evacuations have been ordered north of Denver, where a Colorado wildfire has destroyed homes. As of 9 p.m. tonight, the Boulder County fire has destroyed over 1,300 acres. The U.S. military says it carried out an airstrike last night in Iraq against a base used by Iranian-aligned militias. Hamas confirms their top political leader has been assassinated in Tehran, just hours after Israel says they killed a senior Hezbollah commander in Lebanon. Here's Fox's Lucas Tomlinson on the scene.
Israel's prime minister had said the deaths of those 12 children on the soccer field would not go unanswered. Now top leaders of Hamas and Hezbollah have been killed over the course of 12 hours. The two targeted killings took place in Tehran and Beirut. First, Hezbollah's top military commander, Fouad Shukar, who Israel blamed for that rocket strike in the Golan Heights that killed 12 children. The State Department had put a $5 million bounty on his head. Officials say he played a central role in the killing of 241 American servicemen in the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut back in 1983. Then hours later in Iran's capital, the leader of Hamas, Ismail Haniyeh, was killed just after the inauguration of Iran's new president.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson. The Federal Reserve is expected to leave interest rates at a 23-year high. The July Fed meeting is today in Washington, D.C. A person of interest is being questioned, all tied to an armed robbery that took the life of a Cook County Sheriff's deputy. Cook County Corrections officer was killed in a shootout during the stick-up on Chicago's South Side. Sheriff Tom Dart.
Someone showed up with guns, and I think they were attempting to rob either his cousin or somebody else at the time. And Raphael tried to defend everyone, and he was killed.
Authorities say Raphael Wardlaw was at a gas station early yesterday when someone approached and tried to rob him. Gunfire was exchanged. Wardlaw was shot in the chest. He drove off and crashed a few blocks away and then was transported before being pronounced dead at a nearby hospital. A lawyer for two sons of imprisoned Sinaloa drug cartel kingpin Joaquin El Chapo Guzman said Tuesday the latest son to be taken into U.S. custody had no deal with Illinois federal authorities. Defense attorney Jeffrey Lichtman addressed rumors that have swirled for days around the son's arrest with Sinaloa co-founder Ismael Zambada Garcia.
We've got no agreement with the government. There has never been an agreement with the government with Joaquin Guzman Lopez. There is no agreement, period. That's it.
Would you like for there to be an agreement?
I don't know how this case is going to resolve. It's not always up to me. I have to look at the evidence.
Lichtman, the judge in that case, made his comments in the lobby of the Dirksen Federal Courthouse, moments after Guzman Lopez was arraigned before U.S. District Judge Sharon Johnson Coleman. Guzman Lopez faces 5 criminal charges, including taking part in a massive drug conspiracy. The Bears rewarding wide receiver DJ Moore with the largest contract in franchise history, 4 years, $110 million, $82 million guaranteed. Cubs lost to the Reds 6-3, while the White Sox lost to the Royals 4-3. The news service of Papa Nicholas coffee, hot air roasted locally and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Choose Papa Nicholas coffee because great coffee is their family tradition. Online at papanicholas.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk wants early numbers.
The thing we have to emphasize is how many voters are we registering, how many ballots are we chasing, and are we able to dominate in voting month? Election day is the last day of voting. The Democrats have run up the score in 40 days before Election Day. We are going to do our part to try to close that gap.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and tracking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
Smoke fumes and dust are a nuisance your business can do without, causing health hazards for employees and possible EPA problems for your company. If you need help cleaning up these problems, call a company that has the expertise and capability to help.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. I've got over 40 years of personal experience in dealing with smoke fumes and dust emissions, and I can help you eliminate these problems from your plant. Contact Vans for a no-cost evaluation of your system, and we will size equipment, design hoods and ductwork for a complete turnkey solution.
Vans uses only the best and safest union-trained mechanics, insured at the highest levels to perform the job right. Call 833-VANS-IND to schedule your ventilation inspection today. That's 833-VANSIND. You can also visit them online at vansindustrial.com. That's VANSindustrial.com. Vans Industrial, working safe since 1964.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Illinois and Wisconsin patriots, come out to the greatest Trump rally of 2024. Support President Trump and help save the American dream. Join thousands of great Americans as we rally for Trump on Saturday, August 18th, the day before the Democratic Convention, from noon to 6 at the McHenry County Fairgrounds. It's an afternoon of music, fun, and messages from many of President Trump's most trusted advisors and closest friends, including Charlie Kirk, General Flynn, Steve Moore, and Kimberly Fletcher of Moms for America. Your MCs for the event will be me, Gary Rabine, and Sean Thompson. There will be many surprises, more all-star speakers, and well-known music groups to come. Join us as we rally for President Trump at the McHenry County Fairgrounds on Sunday, August 18th from noon to 6. Get your tickets now at paradingfortrump.com. That's paradingfortrump.com. Profits go to efforts to elect Trump as our 47th president. Paid for by the American Dream PAC. Thank you to our sponsors, Rabine America and Peerless Fence.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
6:40, let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Bank of America with digital solutions for local and global businesses, so you can make every move matter. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. Bank of America N.A., copyright 2024. Inbound Kennedy, 45 minutes O'Hare into the Circle Interchange this morning. Tri-State jamming up northbound right at Roosevelt Road. The Reagan I-88, the toll road jamming up between Roosevelt and the Tri-State. Heavy and slow on 8094 eastbound between I-65 and Ripley. They're trying to right a rollover semi. Right lane is blocked right now. That semi carrying sugar rolled over into the right ditch. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Clouds and sun, maybe a heavy thunderstorm, hot and humid, high 91. 73 at O'Hare, 73 at Midway, 66 in Aurora. Some heavy fog developing in northwest Indiana. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We're talking about the testimony yesterday before Senate Judiciary of Acting Secret Service Director Ronald Rowe and Deputy FBI Director Paul Abate. And let me summarize the testimony and everything that we've learned over the last 2 weeks from our government.
Okay.
We've learned two things. We learned that Trump was shot, and we learned that the Secret Service failed, but no specific individual agent failed. In other words, we know today everything we knew on July 13th, and nothing more.
Exactly.
Because it's exactly what this anonymous counter sniper who sent an email to all the uniform division said, and this is what it's bearing out to be. To this point,
we knew that by watching it live.
To this point, 3 weeks in, it is one big cover your ass operation. No more was this sort of presented in no more stark terms than comically by Senator John Kennedy, as he is wanted to be the comedian in the Senate, in his questioning of the deputy FBI director, the lead investigative agency with respect to the failed assassination attempt. This is querying Paul Abate, the deputy FBI director, a few days after Chris Wray testified to something very different.
You are the deputy director of the FBI, is that correct?
Yes, Senator.
Is there any doubt in your mind or in the collective mind of the FBI that President Trump was shot in the ear by a bullet fired by the assassin crooks?
Senator, there is absolutely no doubt in the FBI's mind whether former President Trump was hit with a bullet and wounded in the ear. No doubt, there never has been.
Okay.
I've been part of this investigation since the very beginning, and that has never been raised.
You're sure?
Yes.
It wasn't a space laser.
No.
It wasn't a murder hornet.
Absolutely not.
It wasn't Sasquatch.
No, Senator.
It was a bullet.
It was a bullet, Senator. 100%.
Fired by crooks.
Yes, sir.
That hit President Trump in the ear and almost killed him.
100%, Senator.
Okay. Glad we cleared that.
It's funny because Paul Abate's known this from July 13th forward, but his director testified last week to something very different. And then the FBI had to come out a couple of days later and confirm that it was indeed a bullet that pierced Trump's ear.
Somebody texted in, they didn't fail to protect him, they failed to kill him.
Yeah, I understand the conspiracy theories, but I'm not on board with that.
No, I know, but it's the, you've always been saying, if there's no full disclosure, that's when people's minds start going elsewhere.
I understand. And
by this point with John Hinckley Jr., I mean, we knew who he was. We knew he was crazy. We knew he was obsessed with Jodie Foster and that he did this to try to get her attention and her love and all that. We knew everything.
Well, there was also not like an obvious Secret Service failure. It was a Secret Service failure in a sense, but there was ownership of it. I mean, you had Secret Service agents, obviously, like our friend Tim McCarthy, that behaved valiantly in the moment, took a bullet for Ronald Reagan. Jim Brady, of course, also victimized, shot in the head. It was just different. It was a different attitude. I mean, this imperial attitude taken yesterday, particularly by Acting Secret Service Director Rowe, it just doesn't wash. Not with me. And I think not with a lot of Americans, particularly given the performance of all of these agencies in this government over the last 8 years, the reveals of the permanent government. And it didn't get any better than with Mike Lee than it was with Josh Hawley. We played Josh Hawley in these exchanges where he went through the person who made this decision and the economy there. No, what about this decision? What about that decision? All these failures occurred, but nobody is actually responsible for any of them. It's a bit frustrating. Hawley was frustrated. Mike Lee zeroed in on the time between understanding there was a security threat and the decisions that weren't or were not made to address that security threat. This was interesting because they have a timeline, but they don't have the other pieces in place because, again, the radio, the interoperability of the communication system that Secret Service was on and local was on failed, and we're not getting any details on who was saying what on which channels. But we do know some things, and Mike Lee wants Rowe to fill in the blanks, and he doesn't.
Yeah.
We're looking at a situation in which, at a minimum, people knew that this guy had a gun at least 2 minutes before the shooting happened. I want to know what you can tell me about what happened during that final 2-minute period, where a whole bunch of people in the crowd saw and were shouting, "He's got a gun." During that 2-minute period, perhaps at the beginning of it, the local police started to climb the rooftop, and there was at least 30 seconds after which local police were able to personally observe the shooter with a gun, had the gun pointed at him. What happened during that time period, and why on earth was President Trump not removed from the stage at that moment?
So again, Senator, the reason why President Trump was not removed was, again, we did not have anything more than locals working an issue at the 3 o'clock. Wasn't determined as to whether or not it was the same individual or not, and there was no report of
the same individual as what?
The same suspicious individual.
Right, but we've left the category of suspicious individual at that point. You've got a guy with a gun on a rooftop 136 yards away from the stage. You know that he's got a gun at that point. What happened during that time period that did not result in President Trump, his protective detail, being notified of that and him immediately being removed from the situation?
Senator, what I will say, and then I'll turn it over to Deputy Director Abate. No information regarding a weapon on the roof was ever passed to our personnel.
How is that even possible? Do you want to comment to that?
Senator, again, I believe that information, and this is probably something my colleague can expound on, information that was in law enforcement, local law enforcement channels, but did not cross over and make it to Secret Service awareness.
Do you not have a channel of communication by which they can say, gun, take him out?
So again, Senator, that information stayed in local channels and did not make it over to Secret Service.
Did they not consider that relevant? You're saying that the local police didn't consider that relevant enough to pass along to the Secret Service?
Sir, I think that they were in the midst of dealing with a very critical situation, and they articulated that over the radio, as I understand it. However, it was never relayed over to us.
And the person, if that is indeed what happened, and I'm not stipulating because I don't trust Roe at this point, if that's indeed what happened, the person in charge of making sure there was interoperability of communications between the local law enforcement over which you had command control and your agency's agents over which you had command control, that failed. But again, no one's responsible because we're waiting to figure it out. But you just said you do have it figured out. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro
got a text message. Dan and Amy, is there any government agency where individual accountability exists? Reimagine every agency from scratch to bring back accountability.
No. The answer is no. And I gave you the wrong text message. I keep doing that. By the way, just texting 312-642-5600, phone and text the same. Let me give you an example of this. Washington Times reporting this week, dozens of IRS employees who have willfully cheated on their taxes remain working at the IRS.
Well, why not?
According to an internal audit, 5% of the IRS's workforce failed to pay their taxes in full and on time at some point while working for the agency, but those were deemed mistakes. The sort of consideration you don't get when you make a mistake, quote unquote, that is obviously and willful to do an apples to apples comparison as a private citizen. 70 current employees were found to have intentionally cheated.
I've never heard of anybody cheating on their taxes.
Yeah. 70 current employees of the IRS found to have intentionally cheated. Only 20 of those were ousted. Most of the rest remain on the job after a short suspension. Under the law, remember that? There's law that governs this with the IRS. All of them should have been fired. But no, only the ones maybe we didn't like, fell out of favor, we needed to make an example of to keep up appearances, like there is some accountability to these agencies. So that's obviously a very small example compared to this Secret Service failure where a president was almost assassinated. But to the question, is any agency accountable to itself and by extension the people who they're supposed to work for, the people who finance their existence? No. The answer is no.
Another text message, Dan and Amy. If Trump is elected, will Trump clean house in the FBI, Secret Service, etc.? Seems like a lot of incompetent people.
Well, he couldn't have a more profound mandate, could he?
No.
He couldn't have more motivation than what you would believe he has right now, could he? So I'd be fairly sanguine about the prospect of it. Certainly a lot more so than if he's not elected. Greg in Jefferson Park.
Hey, good morning, guys. This is never going to end. You know, Trump needs to hire Vivek Ramaswamy to get rid of 1 million useless idiots working for the federal government because none of them do anything or can get anything done. All these investigations go on forever. We can't talk about it because it's part of an investigation, and nobody ever gets anything done. You know, all these guys retire in their 50s, start collecting a pension, and then, you know, like that the one gentleman that you got, one of your guests, who's, you know, he's currently a mayor and like an assistant professor and working on this and working on that, and he gets these speaking engagements and everything else. And not unlike City of Chicago employees, you know, they get their pensions, they go out, get other jobs, and they're making buku bucks and becoming, you know, the top 10%. This is ridiculous. It's got to end. And, you know, Trump ought to be spending some of his own cash to get his own people because you can't trust these morons to do anything.
Thanks for the call, Greg. Text from a friend of mine. The problem was the official form used to communicate was not filled out properly in triplicate. It's probably, yeah. Hey, Peter, did you get the memo about the TPS reports?
You didn't dot the I and cross the T here, so yeah. And you're going to have to work Saturday.
Deputy Director Abate, I'm hearing you're having some problem with the TPS reports. Yeah, something like that. Mike, Southside.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. I just want to know if any of these knuckleheads that are testifying to Congress will be brought up on charges when it's found out that they are lying to Congress's face, because there is zero chance that there wasn't a system in place that the Secret Service couldn't respond to the local law enforcement saying knife, gun, bomb. Any of those things would have immediately triggered, and they're lying. So I want to know, when are they going to be charged?
Well, right, when Josh Hawley or Ted Cruz is your Attorney General. Maybe then.
Ted, no, that'd be great.
Yeah, and by the way, this comms failure, by the way, doesn't excuse it. I mean, maybe in exigent circumstances, if you realize you can't communicate with Secret Service, maybe you don't worry about encryption and you say you text somebody.
Yeah,
you give them a call on the phone saying, "Dude with gun on roof."
Well, Senator Mike Lee asked, he said, why was President Trump allowed to take the stage at 6:02, 17 minutes after multiple suspicious person reports were provided, complete with photos and information.
That's one of the things. And the other thing, the other thing Lee got into is there's still somewhere between a 30-second and 2-minute gap where there's some recognition that there is a shooter on the roof before he shoots, and so thus there's time to pull him off stage, to give a green light, or if a green light was even needed, to neutralize that shooter, and there's no explanation for why none of that happened.
And Ronald Rowe, to that question, said, Senator, it was suspicion, not weapon.
Yeah, but that's a different answer.
That was never communicated.
That's a different answer from earlier. Forget that part. We got notice that this is like a half hour. They got notice there's a security issue with the rangefinder, but we didn't know gun, and so on and so forth. But at some point, there's a concession. They knew man with gun, and Lee is saying 30 seconds to 2 minutes to do something about it, and they didn't. Monica and Lyle.
Oh, there was one person fired from the Biden administration. That was that cross-dressing transgender person, Sam Britton, from the Department of Energy. There was a great case of protecting the country.
Yeah, for being a kleptomaniac when it came to other people's
nice
luggage.
He likes nice things, Dan.
Well, he likes other people's nice luggage.
Other people, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't buy it, so I'm going to take it, and hopefully there's a nice designer dress in here as well.
Yeah, you don't want Sam Britton to be the face of your party, lest anybody call you weird. Grant and Rockford.
Good morning, you guys. I'm not prone to conspiracy theories, but this is a deep state hit. It's a fail. They can't talk to him on the radio. Bull crap.
Nice catch.
You can go to Radio Shack and pick up a scanner that will scan all the radio frequencies around you. This whole thing is it is unbelievable. I have yet to hear one single thing to make me think otherwise. And it's worse than Lee Harvey Oswald. Absolutely worse. Have a good day, guys.
Thanks for the call, Grant. Well, Again, I think you've heard a lot of things to suggest a very credible alternative theory to deep state hit, which is deep state incompetence. I think you've heard a lot of evidence to support that theory. Glenn in Orlando.
Yeah, hi. Regarding the facility in Pennsylvania, how come nobody was on the water tower? The water tower is the tallest structure in the vicinity.
And had 360 degrees of view on the footprint, too. Thanks for the call, Glenn. That's another question that we would have an answer to if it was asked yesterday, but there were a lot more pressing questions. But also if here was the pre-event security plan. Show it to us. How can it be a classified document at this point? Bring it forward and say, this is what we had designed, and this is what occurred, and we can compare and contrast what the plan was versus how it was executed, just for starters. But no, we don't get that sort of transparency, do we?
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
All right, at 7:07, we'll, by the way, we'll come back to this a little bit at the end of the 8 o'clock hour with Julie Kelly when she joins us. But at 7:07, we'll turn our attention locally to the murder of that corrections officer and other Chicago crime stories. 7:07.
And Trump does come to Chicago in a few hours. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
An off-duty Cook County corrections officer killed in a shootout. An ex-Chicago alderman to join the Cook County Board of Commissioners. Cubs trade Mark Leiter to the Yankees while the White Sox sell big at the trade deadline. WIND Chicago News Time, 7 o'clock.
A Hamas leader taken out in Iran. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Months after Israel had vowed to kill Hamas leaders for the October terror attack that triggered the war in Gaza.
The political leader of Hamas, Ismail Haniyeh, is dead. The Israelis have not yet taken credit for the strike, but are, of course, likely behind it. We're still gathering details, but we know that Haniyeh was staying in a guest house in the Iranian capital when it was hit by a missile.
Fox's Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv. In Iran, there are protests with chants of death to Israel. Iran's supreme leader vows revenge that Israel will face a harsh punishment. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says despite what happened, he's still focused on
getting to the ceasefire, which is manifestly in the interests of the hostages and bringing them home. It's manifestly in the interests of Palestinians who are suffering terribly every single day.
The Hamas leader's death comes hours after an Israeli strike in Lebanon killed a Hezbollah commander, following the weekend rocket attack in the Golan Heights that killed 12 children. Now, the former president may react to all that at a rally today.
Former President Donald Trump returning to Pennsylvania for the first time since an assassin tried to take his life.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson.
Now, Donald Trump will begin his day in Chicago and will be interviewed by journalists, including our own Harris Faulkner, before going to Pennsylvania State Capitol.
Now, he'll be at a National Association of Black Journalists convention. A Washington Post columnist stepped down as a co-chair because of the Trump appearance, opposing giving a platform to the former president. That's a lock him up anti-Trump chant at a Harris rally in Georgia.
So in this campaign, I will proudly put my record against his any day of the week.
The vice president, the presumptive Democratic nominee, will hold a rally in Pennsylvania next week with her running mate, though we still don't know who that is yet. America's listening to Fox News.
72 degrees. At 7:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A person of interest questioned tied to an armed robbery that took the life of a Cook County sheriff's deputy. The corrections officer was killed in a shootout during a stick-up on Chicago's South Side. Sheriff Tom Dart.
Someone showed up with guns, and I think they were attempting to rob either his cousin or somebody else at the time. And Raphael tried to defend everyone, and he was killed.
Raphael Wardlaw was at a gas station early yesterday in the 500 block of East 67th, 67th, and Marquette when someone approached and tried to rob him. Gunfire was exchanged. Wardlaw was shot in the chest. He drove off, but crashed a few blocks away before being pronounced dead at a nearby hospital. A lawyer for two sons of imprisoned Sinaloa drug cartel kingpin Joaquin El Chapo Guzman said the latest son to be taken into custody has not cut a deal with the feds. Defense attorney Jeffrey Lichtman addressed rumors that have swirled for days around the son's arrest with Sinaloa co-founder Ismael Elmayo Zambada Garcia.
We've got no agreement with the government. There has never been an agreement with the government with Joaquin Guzman Lopez. There is no agreement, period. That's it.
Would you like for there to be an agreement?
I don't know how this case is going to resolve. It's not always up to me. I have to look at the evidence.
Lichtman made his comments at the Dirksen Federal Courthouse. Guzman Lopez was arraigned before U.S. District Judge Sharon Johnson Coleman, facing 5 criminal charges. Former President Donald Trump's invite to the National Association of Black Journalists convention in Chicago is still on, sparking a small backlash led by Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson.
Former President Donald Trump is an abuser. He was quite cruel to many individuals in the black press in particular.
The decision to keep Trump on the bill was followed by the resignation of the NABJ convention co-chair. However, the president, Ken Lemon, backed the decision to interview Trump. Bears are rewarding wideout DJ Moore with the largest contract in franchise history, 4 years, $110 million, $82 million guaranteed. Cubs lost to the Reds 6-3 and sold off a bullpen piece at the trade deadline, sending Mark Leiter to the Yankees. White Sox lost to the Royals 4-3 and wrapped up their fire sale, sending Eloy Jimenez to Baltimore, Paul DeJong to Kansas City, and Tanner Banks to the Phillies. U.S. men's national soccer team closed out group play at the Olympics with a 3-0 win over Guinea. They move on to the knockout round, the quarterfinals. Boy, there's a big one brewing. France and Argentina will battle in a grudge match on Friday. The news, a service of Crosscom Public Adjusters. If your home or business has an insurance claim, Crosscom will help you get what you need and have coming to you. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager can't get in the mindset.
I don't get how people who do think clearly and morally in general become never Trumpers. I've tried to wrestle with this since 2016. It doesn't matter how much damage the left does, I will never support Donald Trump.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Are your file cabinets stuffed with work orders, invoices, bills of lading, medical records, and or compliance papers? There's a solution to clear the clutter by converting your documents into accessible digital form with the help of IDT. They can scan your documents for you or provide you with the technology to transform your workspace with easy and innovative IoT smart connected scanning technology. IoT smart connected scanning not only captures your information, it connects your documents directly to your existing digital systems, ensuring seamless integration and immediate access. Plus, it works with your existing Microsoft Office 365 technology. Convert those physical files into secure, searchable, easy-to-find digital formats. Goodbye, paper chaos. Hello, streamlined, secure digital environment. Visit ready4idt.com. That's ready, the number 4idt.com. IDT, putting paper in its place.
For anyone living with everyday aches and pains, there's a lot of things you can try. You know, tough it out, bite the bullet, grin and bear it. Or you can try something that has helped so many other people, Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that addresses the inflammation where pain starts. And Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain for a short time. It helps reduce or even eliminate it all day, every day. Wherever you're hurting, your back, neck, joints, or muscles, in about 3 weeks or less, you'll see a difference and rediscover what it's like to feel better and live better. So if everyday pain is affecting your life, don't go with the mind over matter approach. Try Relief Factor instead. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor.
Do you have jewelry with sentimental value that needs repairing? Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. I'm a customer of family-owned Roland's Jewelers in downtown Libertyville because It's a place I trust. Their in-house master jeweler does impeccable work, and jewelry comes back repaired in perfect condition and looks the same as the day you bought it. That's a great feeling. Rollins also specializes in custom design. They'll work with you every step of the way to make your dream jewelry idea come to life. The Rollins family is expertly trained to give you outstanding customer service, earning 5-star Google ratings. Now that's impressive. Visit Rollins Jewelers' beautiful showroom in downtown Libertyville for all of your jewelry needs. Visit RollinsJewelers.com. That's ROLLANDS Jewelers.com, or call or text them at 847-918-7300. 847-918-7300. Rollins Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler you can trust.
7:09. Let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time and our big trouble spot of the morning. 8094 eastbound, all jammed up due to a rollover semi. Right lane blocked between I-65 and Ripley is your big delay. They are righting that semi as we speak. Reagan, eastbounders, you're jammed up Roosevelt to the tri-state. Dan Ryan coming in, 21, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. The Kennedy at 49 minutes. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Intervals of clouds and sun, thunderstorm in spots, hot and humid today. The high 91, cloudy, warm and humid, a drenching thunderstorm late tonight. Could get some flash flooding, low 75. Clouds and sun, heavy thunderstorm tomorrow. Could bring on an isolated tornado, high 88. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
73 at O'Hare, 76 Lakefront. Next news, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Trump in town to address the National Association of Black Journalists Conference. And some black journalists aren't happy about it.
You predicted this. April Ryan does not. They're just concerned that they're giving him a platform, Dan. But, Kamala Harris, she could have had the same platform, but she did not take the invitation to heart.
Yeah, but the difference is Kamala Harris is not spewing misinformation and hatred and platforming white supremacy. That's, according to some of these black journalists, it really doesn't matter. I mean, the black journalists, white journalists. I mean, that this is all of one kind. Although I do give some credit, begrudgingly, but I give it nonetheless, to people like Simone Sanders, who is a former advisor to Kamala Harris and couldn't wait to get out, by the way. She's not Bernie bro, she's a Bernie girl, I guess.
Right.
She said some of the best journalists in the country are members of the National Association of Black Journalists, so why wouldn't they interview Trump? He's the Republican nominee. Seems like journalists complaining don't understand their jobs are to actually ask the questions. Yeah. And they should, I would think, offer some begrudging respect for Trump going into a conference that he knows is generally going to be hostile to him. What should Trump's posture be during this interview? He's being interviewed. And, oh, by the way, they might also remember that, some of their members, not a lot, but some are actually Republican or sort of right-leaning, like Harris Faulkner of Fox. She'll be one of those who interviews Trump, including...
Rachel Scott. She's a senior correspondent. She's a congressional correspondent for ABC News. She's always on Nightline and things like that.
So Faulkner, Rachel Scott, and this Katia Goba, who's the politics reporter for Semaphore, who has previously interviewed Trump, and as has Faulkner. So, this is, of course, controversy coming from the new Bolsheviks, who are also members of the National Association of Black Journalists. Like this outlet, the people from this outlet called The Tribe, which is one of the most Black Lives Matter race hustling of the outlets of that ilk, like the Tribune and the Sun-Times. I would like to unwelcome NABJ for surprising Chicago with the Trump news, a man who has threatened Chicago with state violence in his stump speeches and attracts a white supremacist following to a black affinity space. That's the co-founder of the tribe. Somebody else from the tribe, Tiffany Walden. The city itself ran Trump out of the city in 2016.
Let's do it again. That's what I heard.
And it's very clear he is not a person that is welcome here. So as black journalists to be the organization to roll out the red carpet, it's a different situation. I know they invited presidential candidates before, including Republicans, but in this case, Trump is not a Republican. He is not the average candidate. He's spewing harmful misinformation, disinformation, and dog whistles about black communities, about some of the people that will be in that room. Oh, my gosh. Heaven forbid anyone in that room hears something with which they might disagree.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. April Ryan, she put on X. The reports of attacks on black women, White House correspondents by the then President of the United States are not myth or conjecture, but fact. To have a presumed orchestrated session with the former president is an affront to what this organization stands for and a slap in the face, boom, to black women journalists who had to protect themselves from the wrath of this Republican presidential nominee who's promoting his authoritarian agenda that plans to destroy the nation and our democracy.
Yeah, now who's clutching their pearls?
Oh, boy.
She's
a little wound up?
Because you have disagreements, or he goes after journalists who goes after him and accuses him of, being Hitler, Pol Pot, Stalin, all wrapped into one, and platforming white supremacy. And he takes a rhetorical shot at a journalist. That's beyond the pale. Yeah, these journalists, very sensitive folk for being the professional propagandists they are. April Ryan, near the top of that list. BLM Brandon Johnson had this to say about Trump's attendance.
Former President Donald Trump is an abuser. He was quite cruel to many individuals in the black press in particular.
How is he an abuser? Like, they make these declarative statements. He's misogynistic. He's a sexual predator. He's an abuser. He's a racist. How? Why? What did he do?
Yeah, I'm not interested. That's the wrong debate to have. What should Trump say? What should his angle be when it comes to? I probably won't get that much hostility from that panel of interviewers, but of the audience and the commentary he knows that's out there of the Brandon Johnson sort. I would really seize on what Brandon Johnson just said there about cruel and, people talking about unsafe and so on and so forth. I would really seize on that, the way that he was seizing on Kamala Harris's similar rap when he sat down with Laura Ingraham on Monday night and reminded people that Kamala Harris is basically Soros prosecutor zero. She is the foremother of the Kim Foxes and the Larry Krasners and the Marilyn Mosbys and all of the Soros-backed decarceration, defund the police, end cash bail prosecutors out there that have been attendant to the disintegration of America's great cities. You want to talk about lack of safety? You want to talk about cruelty? You preside over one of the most violent cities in the Western Hemisphere, and you do nothing about it except offer thoughts and prayers, after the body count is reported on a daily or a weekly basis. What is my rhetoric in reaction to somebody who mischaracterized me? Is that what's cruel? Or is it cruel to repeatedly release into the community someone who is a serial predator? You want to talk about serial predators? Oh, he's an abuser? Meet this dude, 54 years old. He's been arrested by Chicago police 75 times since June of 2015, 75 times in 9 years, 12 times this year. He's consistently described in Chicago Police Department paperwork as having significant untreated mental health issues and hands that have been mangled by frostbite. Many of his arrests involve allegations of randomly battering people, usually downtown, and theft. And he's been arrested again.
And that's the person that attacked the WGN reporter, by the way.
Yeah.
Because she tweeted out, I know this because I was one of his victims.
Yeah, well, she's also a predator in a different way, and I'll get to her. So tell me about this guy. Tell me about this guy. And remember, you're in charge of everything. And you have been for a long time in the city of Chicago, 100 years. And you talk and talk and talk about mental health services for this, and we're gonna create utopia over here with social workers for that, and so on and so forth, and all these interventions to get people the treatment they need and provide safety for communities that were underserved and underinvested in. All your rap. And yet here we are. This guy, the 31-year-old who gets in a shootout in Woodlawn, 31-year-old correctional officer gets in a shootout in Woodlawn trying to protect his cousin from an armed robber and is killed. Tell me about cruelty and safety and providing resources and protecting people and caring about the black community when you preside over cities that are responsible for homicide being the leading cause of death among young to middle-aged black men in this country.
And hours ago, burglars broke through a wall at Saks Fifth Avenue on the Mag Mile. Drove a car right through. A couple hours later, a crash and grab team slammed into a high-end boutique on Oak Street.
So this is the tack I would take if I were Trump. I wouldn't come in there, apologetic and trying to, play nice with people who are openly hostile. And I'm not talking about the people that interview him because, as I said, I doubt they will be. But I would take the opportunity to address people who are, even if they're not in attendance, like Brandon Johnson and these other big city mayors who are presiding over the disintegration of big cities and, by extension, the quality of life for the majority of black Americans, because the majority of black Americans live in urban centers around the country. How's that for a message? Let's get it on. Since you brought up Courtney Spinelli, she tweeted out, per this guy I'm talking about, arrested 75 times since 2015, 12 times this year. And he's the guy who accosted her twice in 2 days at a parking lot in River North.
He grabbed her buttocks.
And he spat on her and stuff, too. And
no, I know.
this is a man who assaulted me last weekend. I have my opinions, but my job as a journalist and maintaining my integrity doesn't stop when something involves me. So I'll share this info below and hope you take a good look at Hill, this guy's name, should a judge decide to again release him. Give me your reaction to that.
No, I read that and I was thinking, girl, just own the story. Why do you have to write that? Just own it. You were a victim of crime in a city that you cover. So own it. And don't deny it. Don't say, I've got my job's separate than that. No one gives a crap. You sound like a weirdo.
My job as a journalist and maintaining my integrity. You're right. Integrity and journalist are two words that don't go together generally, and especially in this city. Doesn't stop when something involves me. Right, because you're an objective scrivener on the passing scene. You have no opinions. You have no viewpoints informed by your coverage of the city as this journalist you say you are. This is a good example of something I routinely say, which is Chicago is the home of the most virulent strain of Stockholm Syndrome in the Western world. And it's one of the reasons it's the most violent, one of the most violent cities in the Western world. Jordan in Forest Park, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I think the thinking of the mayor and also past mayors is for the black crime in the city, it's not their fault. It doesn't matter what. It's not their fault, and this dovetails into the Safety Act. The Safety Act, why was that created? It was created because it's not their fault.
Yeah, it's Nixon's fault. Right.
It's not their fault, right. And so instead, in the Safety Act, what they should have done is anybody accused of a violent crime, maybe they all have to go, even if you're a multimillionaire living in Lake Forest. That would have helped safety, wouldn't you think?
Thanks for the call, Jordan.
And real quick, back to Courtney from WGN. It's like she's apologizing for being a victim, being one of his victims. It's like, don't take that role. Stand up.
No, what she's doing is, look, I don't want to. Hey, this happened. She did it when she first first pointed that out. But Chicago's still a great city, and I love the people, and this happens everywhere. You have to qualify everything. You have to equivocate. There's no ability to speak the truth in an unadulterated way. You have to repeat the accepted lines to make sure you're not ostracized by the community. I don't want to be perceived in any way that anybody might take offense, play the race card on me or this or that. Oh, look at the little white girl reporter from WGN complaining about black crime in Chicago because this guy who accosted her twice, allegedly, is black, who's been arrested 54 times in 10 years, 75 times in 4 years, 12 times this year. He's 54 years old. So they're so afraid. They're so afraid to say what they know to be true. I mean, this is why they are professional prevaricators. Whether they really intend to be or not, they're cowards. They cannot say what they know to be true. And if you were a real journalist, you would tell people the truth. They can't do it. They can't bring themselves to do it because of this political climate. By the way, another message I would deliver to this audience, not directly to them, but using them as the conduit to deliver it to the country, black, white, and other. The sort of the line that he gave in Charlotte in advance of the 2016 election, the weekend before. What do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? And let me ask you something else, too. Put it between your eyes. How has prostituting yourself to the Democratic Party for cash from people like Brandon Johnson or J.B. Pritzker worked out for you? How's it worked out for you? What do the West and South Sides look like? And you had Lori Lightfoot for Brandon Johnson. And you had Tiny Dancer providing you basically the same policy agenda and certainly the same identitarian song and dance. How's it going? How's the Great Society, all the money from the federal government that's been drop-shipped? How has it been prostituting yourself to the Democratic Party for who many black Americans do not share these Marxist values, that's for sure, do want public safety, do want the same things anybody else would want from life and from their government. And it's going, South Side and West Side of Chicago. And then you're going to try and put this on Nixon's doorstep? Who believes that?
Well, he's running out of Republicans. Real quick on Mayor Johnson saying that, I don't agree with his policies, but we'll protect him. I mean, that is such a messed up statement. It shouldn't even cross his mind that he wouldn't provide security for a political figure.
Andy in Dallas, Texas.
I have been waiting for years for Trump to go over the top of these local whore politicians and go straight to a neighborhood group, neighborhood church, or this group. And to say that they should not be meeting with Trump is so insulting to them as black journalists. I mean, I don't remember if it was, but was it Diane Sawyer who sat down with Charles Manson for an interview? I mean, come on, you can interview this guy. You don't have to agree with him. And back to your point, ever since the mob with Lori Lightfoot's backing ran Trump out of town, out of Chicago, how's Chicago been trending since 2016? That total street ghetto mentality with the keep Chicago out of your mouth.
Yeah, right.
And my message starts with an F and ends with a U. I am so glad to see him going to a group and just cutting these politicians out.
I mean, Pritzker and Johnson must be out of their mind that he's even crossing, into their space.
No, it's just an opportunity for them to demagogue him.
I don't know. Pritzker's got a press conference today, which is so weird. Reporters and cameramen have to be in place an hour and a half early. That's strange to me. That makes me think that he might be the VP pick. That never happened. To sweep the room, that's...
No.
I don't know. Something's going on.
Hey.
Robert Lyle.
Can I get on?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, yeah, thanks. Yeah, I was born on the west side of Chicago 75 years ago. We used to play in the streets, go over the whole neighborhoods, and it was a mixed neighborhood all the time back then. And isn't it befitting that the convention's being held basically in the murder capital of the world? I mean, seriously, I ask any Democrat, and I'll tell you they'll say no. Did they watch the State of the Union, the last State of the Union by President Trump, where Pelosi tore up the papers and everything? He said it point blank, and everybody. I was in total agreement, and I remember all the different minority groups that had jobs, and it was like everything was flourishing and going really great in the United States of America. And then it went flat as soon as the Democrats came back into power again, and that's just the State of the Union right there.
Thanks, Robert. Bill, Northwest Side.
Yeah, what I would do is, if I was Trump, I would just lay it right on the line in front of these black journalists and say two things. Either you're part of the race hustle or you're ignorant. Your job is to hold government accountable. Are you doing that? What about the schools? What about the crime? What about the poverty? Are you doing your job? That's what needs to be said to these people because they're part of the problem.
Thanks for the call, Bill. Yeah, and I would say the same thing to the entire Chicago press corps, regardless of race, and the entire D.C. press corps, regardless of race. But yeah, you can't say it enough. John in Bridgeport.
Hey, guys. Just if I were Trump, I would get the message across to him that you guys have to look at, you in Chicago have to look at your the police tactics and the science of a traffic stop and the ability to chase. You give that back to the police, there'll be a lot more offenders taken into custody, as opposed to here's a report and some detectives are going to follow up with you in the next day or two or something. Because once you took that away, people have no problem. The evil people have no problem causing harm and havoc all over the place. Second of all, I would go ahead.
No, I was going to say, did I mentioned this because I heard from some of your friends that you got there was an attempted carjacking on you.
Yeah, I really can't go too much into that right now, but I will. I promise you guys, I will go into that a little later in the year, if that's all right. But right now,
once you're done with COPA.
All right.
Well, hey guys.
Hey, we're glad you're okay.
Just don't start talking like a WGN reporter.
No, I won't do that. But I hope Trump reminds, hey, Jan Schakowsky, where's your husband at now? If you want to protest something, you know, I would throw that shout at that woman. But that's just me.
Thanks for the call, John. He's talking about Creamy Bob,
no, I hate the word.
the convicted felon wife of Calamity Jan Schakowsky.
I don't want to hear that.
Matt in Oak Lawn.
Gross.
Hey, good morning, guys. The clip with Pritzker that you played the other day, it just utterly made me sick, where he was on one of the Sunday talk shows. He thinks he's on the Ed Sullivan Show, going around Mr. Funny Guy and talking about couches and things. Things aren't good here, and he's failing at his job. And if I was as bad at my job as he is at his, I wouldn't be going around parading, grandstanding about, how cool I am, how funny I am. The guy's just a big fat loser.
Well, thanks for the call, Matt. That's the difference between you and him. You have a conscience. At 7:37, we'll be joined by Steve Moore. We'll talk a little bit about Kamala's economic policies and, bump those up against the 4 fat years under Trump, or at least 3 fat years under Trump before COVID. 7:37.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
It's 7:30 on AM 560, The Answer. Another round of storms moving into the area. We'll check that forecast for you. The Biden administration is announcing another round of student debt relief. The Department of Education says beginning tomorrow, it will email borrowers who have at least one outstanding federal student loan. Vice President Kamala Harris daring Donald Trump to debate her.
Donald Trump, on the other hand, has been talking a big game about securing our border, but he does not walk the walk.
The Democrat presidential candidate spoke at a rally Tuesday in front of supporters in Atlanta. Vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance on the campaign trail for the Trump-Vance ticket, rallying in Reno, Nevada.
Rated as the most liberal senator in the entire United States during her tenure. That is not a reasonable moderate. That is a crazy record. She is dangerously liberal, and she will never be the president of the United States because we're not going to let her.
A professor at Rutgers University this morning is under fire for her comments that she hoped there would be a second assassination attempt on President Trump. Assistant Professor Tracy Budd's social media life is being reviewed. Officials from the Secret Service and FBI faced a grilling on Capitol Hill over the assassination attempt against former President Trump. Secret Service Acting Director Ronald Rowe.
As a career law enforcement officer and a 25-year veteran with the Secret Service, I cannot defend why that roof was not better secured.
From the Middle East, Hamas political leader Ismail Haniyeh has been killed. Iranian state media says Haniyeh was killed Wednesday in Tehran. The U.S. military says it carried out airstrikes in Iraq against a base used by Iranian-aligned militias. The popular deli meat company Boar's Head is recalling an additional 7 million pounds of ready-to-eat products made at a Virginia plant as an investigation into a deadly outbreak of Listeria food poisoning continues. The recalls are tied to that ongoing outbreak that has killed 2 one here in Illinois, and sickened nearly 36 in 13 states, including Indiana and Wisconsin. A person of interest is being questioned, tied to an armed robbery that took the life of a Cook County Sheriff's deputy.
It's just crazy, but I know he justice, and I know he up there looking down, tell us don't cry, but it's hard.
Sharika Henry, authorities say Raphael Wardlaw was at a gas station yesterday when someone approached him and tried to rob him or someone else with him. Gunfire was exchanged. Wardlaw was shot in the chest. He did drive off, crashing a few blocks away before being pronounced dead at a nearby hospital. Former President Donald Trump's invite to the National Association of Black Journalists convention in Chicago, sparking a small backlash, including some critical comments from Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson.
Former President Donald Trump is an abuser. He was quite cruel to many individuals in the black press in particular.
However, the NABJ President Ken Lemon backed the decision to bring Trump to Chicago, saying they welcomed the opportunity to ask tough questions. Bears hand out some big money to wide receiver DJ Moore. 4 years, $110 million, $82 million of that guaranteed. Cubs lost to the Reds 6-3. White Sox 4-3 losers to the Royals. The news a service of Papa Nicholas Coffee. Hot air roasted locally and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is their family tradition. PapaNicholas.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
News happens fast.
The former president was whisked away after gunshots rang out at his rally north of Pittsburgh.
President Biden wrote in a letter posted on social media, it says it is in the best interest of his party and the country to stand down.
When news breaks.
Best suited to assume the position of Vice President of the United States is Senator J.D. Vance.
It happens here.
I proudly accept your nomination for President of the United States.
This is your breaking news and election station. AM 560, The Answer.
In the 2 years since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, many states across the country have limited or completely banned abortions. Unfortunately, Illinois has moved in the opposite direction. Not only has Illinois made the right to an abortion constitutionally protected, the governor of Illinois has promoted Illinois as a destination for abortion tourism. He wants women from nearby states to come to Illinois to get an abortion. But you can help to stop this trend of abortions in Illinois by helping to provide pregnant moms with free access to ultrasounds through a donation to Preborn. Preborn is a faith-based organization that works with pregnancy resource clinics around the country and right here in Illinois to help pregnant moms choose life. 80% of pregnant women who see their babies on an ultrasound choose life. You can help provide that ultrasound for a donation of just $28 to Preborn. That's all it takes. For a donation of $140, you can save 5 babies. Just go to 560theanswer.com/preborn to make a gift. That's 560theanswer.com/preborn.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $240. There are only 2 good things about aging: wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part, my guidance cost you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
After 30 years of doing knee and hip replacements, Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup thought there had to be a better way, and that led him to regenerative medicine.
I was one of the first orthopedic surgeons to do it.
Now, after 20 years of successful orthobiologic treatments, lots of clinical data, research, and teaching, Dr. Scheinkup is National Medical Director at QC Kinetics.
They've done an amazing job of becoming the most significant orthobiologic and regenerative medicine practice in the United States. QC is so far ahead of the game in its science, its protocols, its people, its facilities.
So if you have chronic pain from arthritis and you want to avoid drugs and surgery, call the experts in this revolutionary field, QC Kinetics.
To give patients real lasting relief from pain, that's what I live for. That's my mission.
Get your free consultation now. Call QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with NABJ. Visit NABJ.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
7:38. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that at our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. Kennedy inbound, 1 hour. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. We're seeing delays on the Tri-State. Slow ramp to the outbound Ike, backing things up on the northbound Tri-State. The Reagan jamming up eastbound right at Cermak or 22nd if you prefer. 8094, still a mess. They're riding a rollover semi, so a right lane is blocked eastbound between I-65 and Ripley. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Clouds and sun with a soaking thunderstorm. Hot and humid, high near 91. Cloudy and 73. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So maybe the best running mate for Reparation H would be P-Butt. They have a similar affinity for and record of accomplishment on green energy. Remember, P-Butt was not so long ago on Face the Nation, where he was talking about how much progress that they've made on the backdoor Green New Deal gambit when it came to the billions that were allocated to set up charging stations. 500,000 charging stations will be completed. This, Eisenhower-like transportation infrastructure that the Biden administration is going to provide at your expense. 500,000 charging stations by 2030. And where are they now?
The Federal Highway Administration says only 7 or 8 charging stations have been produced with a $7.5 billion investment that taxpayers made back in 2021. Why isn't that happening more quickly?
So the president's goal is to have 500,000 chargers up by the end of this decade. Now, in order to do a charger, it's more than just plunking a small device into the ground. There's utility work, and this is also really a new category of federal investment. But we've been working with each of the 50 states. Every one of them is getting formula dollars to do this work, engaging them in the first handful, again, by 2030, 500,000 chargers. And the very first handful of chargers are now already being physically built.
It's so exciting.
It's not even a baker's dozen.
So exciting. Margaret Brennan couldn't even contain her laughter. She couldn't even stomach that sort of agitprop.
But I love how
the first 7 or 8 are done, and that's basically after you get through the first 7 or 8. Those are the toughest, and then the other 499,993. I mean, that just happens.
I love how it's a new category of federal investment.
So,
okay, thank you.
Kamala Harris has had a similar moment. She and EPA Administrator Michael Regan just 2 years ago announced a $1 billion giveaway as part of a total of $5 billion for the EPA as part of the backdoor Green New Deal. $1 billion giveaway to 389 school districts for 2,463 electric buses. This is 2 years ago.
The wheels on the bus go round and round.
2 days today, I should say, of the 398 school districts and the 2,463 electric buses that were going to be provided by this $1 billion of redistribution, 27 school districts have a bus amounting to 60 buses, while twice as many districts have pulled the plug on participating at all. 389, 2,400 plus buses, 27, 60 buses at a cost of $1 billion. So $7.5 billion there, another $1 billion here, And the big Green New Deal dream, well, they still have it. I mean, don't forget how excited Kamala Harris was to learn that when you plug a charger into an EV, it's not like when you fill up your gas tank. There's no fumes.
See, it's plugged in, so is it plugged into just a normal electric socket, right?
Yes. Normally it's a 240 volt, but you can go ahead and plug in, and
okay.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we are.
That's it.
And there's no sound or fume.
There is nothing.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's
so
all there is
for all
to
of
it.
us who are used to
every morning
filling our tank, you usually can smell it and you can hear it. You can hear the guzzling sound.
Right.
None of that.
None of
so
that.
how do I know it's actually working?
Hear the guzzling sound. That's what Willie Brown used to say.
Once you wave the card, it's actually charging. So
but how would I know that? Tell me how I would know that.
How would I know when it's charged?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
So typically you come in, you wave this card, and then what it would do is it would authenticate, and then it'll
Yeah. So how would I know when it's charged? Is because it's different. She knows when she's done when it came to the guzzling sound. For more on this, Steve Moore is an economist. He's the author of Govzilla. He joins us now. Steve, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Hey, Dan. Hi, Amy. By the way, Dan, I think you're being very, very unfair to Pete Buttigieg and to Kamala Harris. I guarantee you by the year 2200, we will have those 500,000 charging stations.
Right, but instead of $7.5 billion, it will have cost 70.
But, you know,
it will have cost $7.5 trillion by then. That will be the difference.
Well, that's nothing. I mean, that's nothing because our Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says that we have to spend worldwide $87 trillion to reduce the temperature of the planet. $87 trillion of government spending will do that, and our slice of the pie is $25 trillion. We can do that. We can come up with that.
$3 trillion a year from now until 2050. That's what Captain Kangaroo said. You're right. So
that's look. That is a small price to pay to give all this money to government so they can save the planet. Come on, Dan. You're living in the Ice Age when the planet was still cold. We're warming, and the only way to stop this is by spending $87 trillion.
Yeah. So your review of, again, this is like we know who this person is. We need to stop on the conservative side pretending like Kamala Harris. What do you think of her? Like we have no idea who this person is. The approach that Trump should take with her on matters economic, as she was touting yesterday in Atlanta, she'll put her record on immigration, everything else, right up against Trump's.
Well, good, because we have a report people can go to on our website, unleashprosperity.com, where we look at the 20 major economic statistics, measurements of how an administration does, whether you look at things like deficits, whether you look at unemployment, whether you look at inflation, whether you look at gas prices, small business confidence, all these things. And out of 18 out of the 20, Trump's Biden, Harris. And so, let's put those records side by side. By the way, the illegal immigration, because she was I don't care how many times they deny it, she was the border czar. She was in charge of the border. She must have been because she went there twice, or was it once or twice? I forget which one it was. But the amount of illegal immigration as Kamala Harris has been in charge of the border, has been 5 to 6 times greater than the amount of illegal immigration under Trump.
Yeah.
So
right.
how do you come up with the conclusion that I have a better record than he does?
They're spinning her record as a prosecutor. She was taking the drug cartels apart when she was Attorney General of California.
And she hung out with a guy named Quavo, or what was his name?
Quavo.
Quavo.
So she learned from Quavo that, you got to walk your talk.
Well, the thing I find really remarkable about, I don't really actually know that much about her. She's been, kind of, a little bit of a mystery to all of us. But the fact is that she keeps saying stuff like, well, I never said I was against fracking. Well, we have you on tape of saying this. I was never in favor of a single-payer health system. We have you on tape. She's just this kind of contortionary maneuver where she flip-flops on every single issue. And incidentally, I would love to have her come on your guys' show. And Dan, I would love for you to, if you had her on your show, to ask her, hey, Kamala, what is fracking? I don't even think she knows what it is.
No, and she doesn't know how to run a business because she's never owned a business.
Right. Yeah. Well, that makes her par for the course. I mean, Biden, 95% of the people in the Biden administration have never owned or even worked for a business. But, I think she's having a honeymoon period, and we'll see, how long that lasts before people start to see her real record.
I want it to end now. I've
Yeah.
had enough, and they keep stringing this out because they're not going to announce the VP pick until next Monday. You're in D.C. What are you hearing
about the VP?
Yep.
You know what? I don't think it matters one iota.
Yeah.
I really don't. I don't think it matters. This is this is all about Kamala, and I want to swing this back to you, Amy, because all I'm hearing is, oh my God, women love Kamala. She's going to win 90% of the women's vote. They love her. Are you in that camp?
No, but I have neighbors that are re-energized, now because, they're down on Biden, but now they have this new renewed energy for her. But women have been through this song and dance before with Hillary Clinton, I'm just waiting for the right woman. I don't need, I could die tomorrow and I'll be fine never having had a female president in the United States. It doesn't matter. You just want the most qualified person to be the president.
Right. Well, I think, we should have a woman president, but we should have one who is
competent,
has her head on her shoulders.
Right.
Kamala, she's had two jobs in her life, really. She was Attorney General of California, and what happened there? The crime rate went through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was the border czar, and what happened there? The amount of illegal immigration went through the roof.
Right.
She's well qualified to be our commander-in-chief.
But I will tell you something with all this women empowerment. Well, just real quick, this makes me really wish and have buyer's remorse that Trump did not pick Nikki Haley.
I'm with you totally. I think it was a big mistake. You and I think alike. I was saying,
you should, if that's true, Steve, you may want to reflect on that.
Well, I mean, I think that if I'm with Amy, I think if he had picked Nikki Haley, it would have been game, set, and match. And
well, take the wind out of her sails right now for this last week and a half.
So the vice president matters for Trump, but it doesn't matter for Kamala Harris.
Well, I don't think it matters who she takes, but I think Trump does have a problem with women voters. There's no doubt about that, and I think
and Nikki Haley would have eliminated that.
Not eliminated. I think she could have raised his percentage of the vote by 1 or 2 percentage points, and in a race like this, that matters a lot. J.D. Vance doesn't add much of anything to the ticket, frankly. I mean, I like J.D. personally, and he's a good man, but I don't think anybody's going to go, I'm going to go for Trump because J.D. Vance is on that ticket. But I do think it would have been also a way.
Sean O'Brien may, the Teamsters president, but I hear what you're saying.
That's true. Well, but look, this is always about the president. This is about Trump versus Kamala, and frankly, and I love Trump. I'm a part of his campaign team. But I kind of almost wish he might go in the basement a little bit for a while, and sometimes it's almost too much Trump.
Well, that's my working thesis is whichever candidate talks the least between now and November 5th wins.
Yeah, well, that's going to be quite a contest.
Yeah, it is.
Good luck.
Well, I don't want to get you in hot water, but Project 2025, the director of Project 2025 at the Heritage Foundation resigned yesterday, And Chris LaCivita, the campaign manager for Trump, said that reports of Project 2025's demise would be greatly welcomed and should serve as a notice to anyone or any group trying to misrepresent their influence with President Trump and his campaign. It will not end well for you. I mean, I really have a problem with that attitude. First of all, I'll let you go. Go ahead.
I mean, look, I think here's my attitude about Project 2025. And in full disclosure, I co-wrote the tax chapter, which I think is excellent, by the way. I think it's a great blueprint for how we should fix the tax system. But it was, I think the problem Heritage tried to sell it, where they were saying this is Trump's blueprint. Well, it's not Trump's blueprint.
Right.
It's the conservative, it's the Conservative Heritage Foundation's blueprint. We've done it. I worked on the first one of these back in 1984 when Reagan was president. We presented it was called the Mandate for Leadership. We presented it to Reagan. He said, I'm going to adopt some of these things, and some of them he didn't. But I think the problem was that they tried to sell it as like the Trump thing, and it wasn't. And there were some things in that Trump, were embarrassing to Trump, and he distanced himself from it. But I think it's a good report. So, and I don't agree with some of the ideas in it, but I still think it has a lot of really good policy advice. And so I think some of those attacks are unfair.
Well, of course they are, and neither do I agree with everything. And it's 900 pages. I mean,
928.
Right. So who's going to agree with everything in it? But the point is, like, this is what the Trump blueprint should be, according to the Heritage Foundation. But for the Trump campaign to sort of start from the premise of the left is to take the bait. Because Joy Reid and these other demagogues are trying to use this as Trump's Mein Kampf. He's Hitler, and this is his blueprint for the end of the republic, and just say, look, it's a think tank. They've got some ideas in there I like. They got a lot of ideas I don't like, just like every other think tank in D.C. and every other. They got some opinions. They're policy wonks. But I'm not.
Yeah.
I have my own agenda, and I'll incorporate what I like and what I won't what I don't like. I mean, why did they make it more controversial than it otherwise needed to be by taking this hard line and this La Vida, like, and I know Chris a little bit, and I like him fine, but I mean, this sort of like, don't try to impose your. I got ideas. I got disagreements. Feel free to disagree. Why does it have to be like if you stray? It gets that it comes across as if you stray from Trump orthodoxy, then down you go. What kind of attitude is that?
Well, no comment on that. But I mean,
Yeah, okay. I understand.
I would simply say that this is a conservative manifesto. There's a lot of very good ideas in there. I think Trump, when he gets elected, and I think he is going to win, will adopt a lot of these ideas. He's not going to adopt all of them. And I think some of the social policy issues that they talked about at Heritage in that report are probably not things that Trump wants to do. So he'll pick and choose. And I think the thing has been so overblown.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. And and the response makes it more so.
Saying, it would be like saying if Earth First came out with this report saying we're going to eliminate all energy in the world, blah, 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 and then they say, oh, look, Biden's for that.
Yeah, but he is for that. That's the difference.
Right, that's the difference. But I know people are talking about Project 2025. Randomly, I'd hear people talking about it when I was in line at Walgreens or.
Yeah, that's like saying weird. They have no idea what it is. They're just repeating.
No, I know, and
the
I
talking
stopped
point
people
from the
and I said,
central office.
I go, Trump did not author that. They said, well his friends did. Oh God!
I mean,
you can't reason with stupid, and there's always going to be plenty of stupid in Chicago.
Spending any time trying to chase down the idiots for the latest, who are repeating the latest talking points, so from the central office is just a complete fool's errand. All right, Steve Moore, economist, author of Govzilla. Thanks as always, Steve. Appreciate it.
Got
his blood pressure up. He's saying
Steve.
thank you and goodbye.
We got to go. We'll talk to you later.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you have high blood pressure, you have the #1 risk factor for mortality.
Don't be a walking time bomb. Make this change and watch your blood pressure drop.
Order a 120 Life today.
Yes, 120 Life is an amazing blend of superfood juices that can actually help lower your blood pressure.
It's been endorsed by thousands of health professionals and doesn't have the side effects of medication.
It's up to you to control your blood pressure, not Big Pharma.
Seriously, 120 Life could be the natural game changer in your life. Try it yourself risk-free with a 2-week trial pack. You've got nothing to lose but your high blood pressure.
Go to 120life.com and use promo code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping.
120 Life is so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in just 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied.
Order the 8-ounce drink or powdered mix. From pomegranates to cranberries, it's the delicious way to lower your blood pressure. It really works.
Go to 120life.com now. Use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out heart-stopping letters, aggressively garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. Don't let the tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, the #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks that the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands. Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, they'll fight to get you the best deal possible. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-559-8226. 800-559-8226. 800-559-8226.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
This is Sean Thompson. When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in the suitcase. Sounds like a stressful way to begin what should be a relaxing time. Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to reduce future taxes, address Social Security and health care, and a whole lot more, all with a clear, defined income strategy. Call the Alpha Wealth Group at 630-934-1855. Ask for the complimentary retirement plan. That's 630-934-1855 or online at alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. right here on AM 560.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
AM 560.
The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:08, is anybody watching the Olympics other than Amy? Anyway, a European commentator gets bounced for dad humor. That and other reviews from the Olympics if somebody's watching, but
Yeah,
Amy,
and
from Amy at 8:08.
2 male boxers, really? And one country is pulling out of the closing ceremonies. We'll tell you who and why. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
An off-duty Cook County Corrections officer killed in a shootout. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
Israel faces a harsh punishment. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what Iran's Ayatollah vows after a missile strike in Tehran killed Hamas's political leader, Ismail Haniyeh.
The supreme leader saying this morning, quote, following this bitter, tragic incident which has taken place within the borders of the Islamic Republic, it is our duty to take revenge.
Fox's Trey Ingst also reports from Tel Aviv. Haniyeh was the lead negotiator for Hamas in talks trying to end the war in Gaza.
Ceasefire talks are basically off the table. And I do want to just quickly read you a statement from the Qatari Prime Minister, the man who has been responsible for a lot of the negotiations taking place. He asks one question here, and it's an important question in all of this. He says, how can mediation succeed when one party assassinates the negotiator on the other side?
Now, Israel's not commented yet. Hours earlier, it launched a strike in Lebanon, killing a top Hezbollah commander days after the rocket attack in the Golan Heights that killed 12 children. Former President Trump will rally today in Pennsylvania after telling Fox if Vice President Harris is elected, foreign leaders will walk all over her.
She'll be so easy for them. She'll be like a play toy. They look at her and they say, we can't believe we got so lucky.
Well, the vice president at a rally in Atlanta that featured a lock him up anti-Trump chant answered Republican criticism. She's failed as a so-called border czar with record illegal immigration. She says as a prosecutor in California, she went after gangs and drug cartels and human traffickers.
Donald Trump, on the other hand, has been talking a big game about securing our border, but he does not walk the walk.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz reports.
A key deadline passed Tuesday with no other candidate qualifying for the Democratic presidential nomination. Delegates are expected to vote virtually Thursday to officially make Harris the party nominee.
Now, next Tuesday, Vice President Harris will rally in Pennsylvania with her running mate, though she still has not announced who that is. America's listening to Fox News.
73 degrees in Chicago at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A person of interest is being questioned, all tied to an armed robbery that took the life of a Cook County Sheriff's deputy. The corrections officer was killed in a shootout during a stick-up on Chicago's South Side. Sheriff Tom Dart.
And I think they were attempting to rob either his cousin or somebody else at the time. And Raphael tried to defend everyone, and he was killed.
Raphael Wardlaw was at a gas station near 67th and Marquette when someone approached him or tried to rob him or a cousin. Gunfire was exchanged. Wardlaw was shot in the chest. He drove off and crashed a few blocks away before being pronounced dead at a nearby hospital. One person is dead, another badly hurt. It all follows a road rage incident in Schiller Park. Police say shots were fired yesterday near Irving Park, and Scott, no word on any arrests. Fire crews were called to the scene of a blaze that broke out at a West Suburban restaurant Tuesday afternoon. According to Franklin Park Fire, the blaze erupted at Sneakers Sports Bar and Grill. It's unclear what sparked that fire. And the Chicago Teachers Union and Chicago Public Schools all came together for a bargaining session on the city's west side, a public bargaining session that had the focus on students.
On the first day of school, I can guarantee you, my right hand to God, that what is necessary in those buildings, especially buildings like this one, are not going to have what they need.
Stacey Davis Gates of the CTU. The bargaining session was held at Mason Elementary School in the Riverdale neighborhood. It's 8:03, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now, the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stock futures are rallying ahead of today's Federal Reserve meeting wrapping up. The Fed is not expected to change interest rates, but could offer a better idea of when it will start cutting. Starbucks shares are higher, though its sales and profit declined again in recent months. Starbucks says it's making real progress on turning the company around, and it's working on speeding up service, adding new food and beverage options. Its competitor JDE Peet's, parent of Peet's Coffee and other brands, reported an upbeat quarter and raised its full-year forecast. T-Mobile's earnings and revenue topped expectations. Kraft Heinz is reporting a mixed quarter as sales growth was lower than originally anticipated, and Kraft Heinz says its customers remain cautious. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda, invested in you.
AM 560 News Time is 8:05. We'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
News happens fast.
The former president was whisked away after gunshots rang out at his rally north of Pittsburgh.
President Biden wrote in a letter posted on social media. It says it is in the best interest of his party and the country to stand down.
When news breaks.
Best suited to assume the position of Vice President of the United States is Senator J.D. Vance.
It happens here.
I proudly accept your nomination for President of the United States.
This is your breaking news and election station. AM 560, The Answer.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you?
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
Are you a driver of a Ford Powerstroke diesel engine? Tired of taking your Ford Powerstroke diesel in to be misdiagnosed or paying for repairs that don't fix the problem? Well, bring your vehicle to the diesel headquarters, Remke's Garage. The shop is equipped with state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment and highly trained technicians. Take it to the experts. Take it to Remke's Garage. Remke's Garage specializes in Ford Power Stroke, Chevy Duramax, Dodge Cummins, Mercedes Sprinter, and Isuzu diesel engines and transmission repairs. At Remke's, they'll make your vehicle repairs convenient by offering a free commercial loaner vehicle.
Remke's Garage, where you won't spend $1,000 to fix a $100 problem. Call for details and to schedule an appointment at 800-5-REMKES or visit remkesgarage.com. Remke's Garage, your diesel headquarters.
For anyone living with everyday aches and pains, there's a lot of things you can try. Tough it out, bite the bullet, grin and bear it. Or you can try something that has helped so many other people, Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that addresses the inflammation where pain starts. And Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain for a short time. It helps reduce or even eliminate it all day, every day. Wherever you're hurting, your back, neck, joints, or muscles, in about 3 weeks or less, you'll see a difference and rediscover what it's like to feel better and live better. So if everyday pain is affecting your life, don't go with the mind over matter approach. Try Relief Factor instead. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor.
It's 8:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Kennedy inbound. It's an hour 5. O'Hare into the Circle interchange. Ike on the outbound side, you're jammed up Cicero to Ridgeland. Dan Ryan inbound 30 minutes, 95th into the Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Intervals of clouds and sun, thunderstorm in spots, hot and humid today. The high 91, cloudy, warm and humid, a drenching thunderstorm late tonight. Could get some flash flooding, low 75. Clouds and sun, heavy thunderstorm tomorrow. Could bring on an isolated tornado, high 88. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
73 in clouds at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Sports and politics and sports and politics and sports and politics and intersection. Arrogance and ignorance. Arrogance, ignorance, and arrogance and ignorance. Intersection.
The Olympics in Paris, gay, fecal-ridden Paris. How are you enjoying it so far? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. You did see, just because I mentioned it, fecal-infested Paris. Mm-hmm. They spent $1.5 billion to clean the excrement out of the Seine.
And how did that go?
They had to postpone the men's triathlon because the river still has too much crap in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Huh.
Uh-huh. And I'm sorry, I owe an apology to Jonathan Owens and the Chicago Bears. It was nice that they let him leave training camp to watch his wife win.
Oh, now that she won the gold.
team gold medal.
Oh,
No,
now she's on Simone Biles' side.
No.
And Jonathan Owens' side.
Jonathan Owens' side. Always been
well,
on
both
Simone
of
Biles.
both of them. She obviously wanted her husband there.
Yeah, and it was a touchy moment that he was there.
Oh.
And he got to hug and kiss her after she won, the team gold medal. All around. They're the Golden Girls. That's what they nicknamed themselves.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
But it's been. I love that. I mean, you wait 4 years for the next one, and then you can have all these TVs running USA. Then on your computer, you have Peacock, and there's ping pong. Is fascinating. Have you watched that?
I like ping
the
pong.
singles and the doubles, but they do a split screen, so it's a quad. So there's 4 games going on at the same time, and I mean, literally, you're trying to keep up.
I haven't really watched any of it, but I do like ping pong, and I like breakdancing.
Cool.
I like golf.
See now that
I'll be interested in the track and fields. I like to see the speedsters and stuff
right.
like
It's
that.
gymnastics this week, swimming, and then we got track and field. I was always toward it's a 2-week process, so you still have time to catch up. But you could
Beach
have been
volleyball.
a
I like beach volleyball.
Who doesn't like beach volleyball?
Yeah.
Ladies are wearing leggings now, though.
I don't like that.
Well, no, but they still are. It's good. It's fun. It's still talented. They're great girls. But you could have judged or been a commentator on the breakdancing because you used to be a breakdancer.
Well, I did do some breakdancing
With
back
your
in the
parachute
day.
pants, yeah.
Yeah, with they actually I used the Jordan warm-up deal.
Oh.
You know, the Jordan had the breakaway pants. Well, actually, they had zippers up up like to your below your knee. But remember the red and black when that was, and then you had the T-shirt with the mesh
Girl,
tank
you don't have
top.
to tell me,
That
sister.
I'm
I
telling
got
it for
it.
our younger listeners. Mesh tank top with the that was attached to the black T-shirt underneath. You got like the whole Jordan set. It was like Granimals,
Yeah.
but Jordan Granimals.
And I think you had the same hairdo that you had back then that you are sporting right now. there, buddy.
I think I had a rat tail to really compliment
Seriously?
it.
Well, we could do the rat
I
tail
looked
with
a little bit like Ozone from Electric Boogaloo.
Okay.
Except I wasn't black. Other than that,
a white ozone. Okay.
Anyway, so we covered the crap-filled sin. We got your apology to the Jonathan Owen Simone Biles family. And oh yeah.
Oh what? Oh yeah. What?
So you can, I mean, given the opening ceremony, which we don't need to belabor the point, but this is fun. A Eurosport commentator named Bob Ballard was bounced from being an Olympic commentator for this little bit of dad humor. Take a listen.
Well, the women just finishing off. You know what women are like, hanging around, you know, doing the makeup.
Outrageous, Bob. Some of the men are doing that as well.
We're doing the makeup. Yeah, okay.
So Bob
Wait.
Ballard made a joke about women taking their time to report for the event. I think it was swimming or something. It doesn't matter. But just taking it's like women take a long time to get ready, putting their makeup on stuff. The old women take a long time to get ready, which is a stereotype, but it has a lot of truth in it.
Forever.
Yeah. So that's
He
misogynistic.
got bounced for that.
Misogynistic. He's gone. Yeah.
For
Yeah.
saying she's putting on her makeup.
No, the women.
The woman putting on the makeup.
Yeah. Yeah. When it's finishing up, he means getting ready to present themselves to.
Gee, a little edgy, a little jumpy, are we? He gets fired for that, but nobody gets fired for that slut show that we had to watch in the opening ceremonies.
No.
And the mocking of Christianity with the Last Supper meal.
Right. Nobody gets fired for the
softcore porn we watch with two guys in a library with a girl, and they all end up in a bedroom kissing and then shut the door like, don't you dare watch me.
Yeah, I think we just said don't belabor the point, but okay.
Well, I mean, I think people forget about that.
The
scene.
wardrobe malfunction, it's very much like what happened on January 13th. It was a malfunction, but nobody's responsible for it, so let's just move on.
And because of that opening ceremonies, real quick, the Slovenian government has announced that they're boycotting the Olympics closing ceremony over the satanic, degenerate opening ceremony, which mocked the Christian faith. They are gone.
Well, it's good to know. I mean, people say that America is our the world's last best hope, but maybe Slovenia is.
What's where Melania's from,
Who
born
would've-
and raised.
Who would have thunk it? Well, that's good to know.
Good people coming out of there.
So Bob Ballard is a misogynist, but the IOC isn't for allowing men to box women. That's happening. So we have apparently this dude from Algeria and another dude from Taiwan who were recently disqualified during the Women's World Championship boxing matches in New Delhi in March of last year. The International Boxing Association said both fighters failed to meet eligibility criteria. They were found to have a high level of testosterone. They were also found in a competition they were found by the International Boxing Association, the president. They were found to have high levels of testosterone because they have XY chromosomes.
Exactly.
So that
because they're dudes. So this is not a surprise.
I hadn't really cracked the case wide open. Well, you have elevated levels of testosterone. Yeah, that's because I'm a dude. Oh, well, there you go. But no, they managed to skate around whatever rule prohibited the clownfish from participating in swimming, Leah Thomas, and they're going to be beating up on women in the boxing matches. The Algerian fights an Italian female boxer tomorrow. So we'll have to see how that goes.
We'll have to see what happens to her face. And here's this on these two dudes that are dudes. They say there's no indication that either identifies as transgender or intersex.
They're just women. They identify as women.
Yeah. But
Well, they're
not
women.
transitioning into women. They're just saying that I feel like a woman and I'm a woman. And,
I am a woman.
yeah, and the guy from Algeria said, "What this is when he got kicked out of the World Boxing Federation. He said this is a conspiracy and a big conspiracy, and I will not be silent. They just don't want us to win a gold medal. Well, you might get your wish of winning a gold medal because you're a dude beating up on a woman. And might I say, he took a spot away from a woman for the Algerian Olympic boxing.
Well, the Algerian Olympic Committee doesn't see any problem with it. They said when he was disqualified from that event in New Delhi, he was disqualified for medical reasons. Yeah, the medical reason is he had a penis.
Some Franken beans, as we call them.
Yes. In happier news, and despite the the expression of anti-Christian bigotry, and by the way, for those who thought, oh, that was not a parody of the Last Supper and so on and so forth, the centerpiece there with the halo around him,
the obese
her,
woman.
What is that? Was she? That was a woman.
Morbidly obese.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry.
That was around her. So she called herself the woke Christ or the LGBT Christ or something like that. So, I mean, just remove all doubt about what was intended there, despite the artistic director saying, not really offering a defense that it was not, but it was supposed to be about love and inclusion. Oh, it always is. But no, on a happier note, a couple of athletes have essentially protested in their own way by courageously displaying their faith. Novak Djokovic.
Oh, yeah.
Novak, but, you know.
Remember, he got shunned from the tennis world because he wouldn't get vaccinated.
Banned in America. Novak Djokovic probably displaying his Christian cross during the Paris Olympics in tennis matches. And then a Brazilian skateboarder named Raissa Leal won a bronze medal in the street skateboarding event, something
That
Justin was probably following.
Did you watch? Oh, no, you didn't watch. That was, I mean, I would fall down and break a hip like that. I don't know how they do it, but they did it.
Yeah.
Thrashers.
16-year-old Christian, she quoted in sign language John 14:6.
Oh.
Yeah, she performed the reading in sign language.
Good for
her. Because she was told she wasn't allowed to praise Jesus Christ at the Olympics. No kidding. She responded in sign language, Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. How about that?
Good for her.
So, you
can only mock Jesus and God. You can't pray to them.
We can't really rely on any Americans to provide any sort of moral leadership. But, there's a 16-year-old girl from Brazil, and there's Novak Djokovic, and, a few others.
Well, First Lady Jill Biden, who made sure, like, if my husband has stepped down from the election, I am still going to the Olympics with my grandchildren. She said the opening ceremony was fantastic, and she doesn't know how America's going to, up one when we hold the Summer Olympics in L.A. in 4 years. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. That's a good example of not providing moral leadership. What I'm saying is, yeah right. So we have to look to the rest of the world now, other Western nations, sometimes not even Western nations, to provide a defense of Western civilization. So, we'll see. I saw LeBron James sitting down during the national anthem.
Did he really do that?
Yeah.
Why? He was the flag
bearer.
bearer.
Because he's a tool. Because that's just an honorific. So he'll do the honorific, but then he displays who he really is. I mean, he was a kneeler during the Black Lives Matter a hoopla of the summer of 2020, so of course that's who he is.
And the Israeli soccer team got booed, and
well, of course.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well,
Palestinian flags are flying.
Yes, because sports is not insulated from politics, and politics is not insulated from sport. That's how it goes. It's part of the rich tapestry of culture. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
For over 10 years, the award-winning KWCC Construction has been building a better future locally and throughout the Midwest, constructing with detailed planning and execution, completing projects safely, timely, and with transparency. If you've ever visited the Wilder Park Promenade along the Riverwalk in Aurora or driven past the recently revitalized Copley Hospital, you're looking at the quality construction of KWCC. Maybe you've seen the adaptive reuse of 80 South River Street in downtown Aurora, which now includes residences and businesses that have revitalized the area. No matter the project, KWCC Construction offers services from indoors to outdoors, conception to completion. In fact, KWCC was recognized as 2022's Best Project in Landscape and Urban Development. Highly recommended. A general contracting company you can count on. That's KWCC. To request a proposal for your project, visit kwccinc.com. That's kwccinc.com.
Quickly, Steve in Downers Grove, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Oh, hey, Dan, very quickly, and I know this will be somewhat annoying. I wear a Christian cross all the time, and my wife, for years, excuse me, has corrected me and said it's not a Christian cross, it is simply a cross. All crosses are Christian.
Yes.
I enjoy you referring it to as a Christian cross, but just to keep my wife happy, just call it a cross, please.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Steve. That's true. It is from the Department of Redundancy Department. You're right about that. I was just sort of reading from the posting about Djokovic, and I should have caught that. So I take your point.
How many crosses do you have on right now in your Mr. T starter kit?
I think I have two.
Two?
I have two, yeah. I need as much protection as possible. That's why I've been playing golf with Little of Sisters of the Poor logo balls. So I'm really trying to channel as much celestial support as I can get.
And it's helping your game?
No, not really. There's only so much the Little Sisters can even do.
Pain on the golf course and pain in your joints. Yes, you know what I'm talking about. If you have arthritis or an injury, bone on bone, constant pain, it robs you of so much. But there are effective ways to deal with the pain, and we're not talking drugs or surgery. There are exciting new cellular therapies that can get you lasting relief. And the place to go is QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics uses cutting-edge treatments that accelerate your own body's healing properties, revitalizing your joints so you can move again. Now, if you're living with chronic pain from arthritis or an injury, you need to know that steroids and surgery and pain pills are no longer your only option. Forget those cortisone shots. Learn how QC Kinetics can use advanced regenerative medicine to treat the pain, enhance your joints, restore your mobility, and give you long-term relief with no downtime. The local medical professionals at QC Kinetics are ready to help you get your life back with regenerative, restorative cellular treatments for your achy joints. Folks, this is the future of medicine. Call for a free consultation now. They'll walk you through the process, tell you how it all works. They have new locations in Crystal Lake and Gurnee. Saturday appointments available. And the number to call, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Jim Durkin, founding partner of the Martech Group, a global market research firm based in Chicago since 1985 and a longtime customer of Signature Bank. When our business moved to our current Loop location, I recall seeing Mick O'Rourke and his two business partners, Brian Duncan and Kevin Vestuga, laying the foundation for Signature Bank. When Signature opened its doors in 2006, I was proud to move our accounts there and become a shareholder. Being in the consulting business, the Martech Group has a keen understanding of the value of relationships, trust, and attentiveness. Whether dealing with our U.S. practice or our international operations, Signature Bank is always there when we need them. That's why the Martech Group is proud to have Signature Bank as a valued business partner.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
With over 3 decades of serving up streetwise insight and local perspective on Page 2, the voice of John Cass has a home at johncassnews.com.
I'm John Cass, and for too long, so-called progressives have been ruining our world. They've been stepping on us. They've twisted everything from the schools to the media in the hopes of crushing our liberty. Traditional media, mainstream media, like the paper, and anything else you see on TV, well, they're in on it. And that's why you need to join me at JohnCastNews.com for your daily cup of Midwestern common sense. Don't be a chump alone. Join me on the new frontier of independent journalism at JohnCastNews.com, where freedom and liberty still mean something. They mean everything.
Go to JohnCastNews.com to subscribe for daily access to podcasts and columns from John Cass and others. That's JohnCastNews.com. Click on subscribe.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gevalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
If you have high blood pressure, listen to this story. Ira was given a grim diagnosis about his blood pressure. His doctor warned it's sky high. If he didn't get it down in 3 weeks, he was going to need surgery. So Ira began exercising, went on medication. But what seemed to be the miracle change, his diet. After thorough research and consulting with a nutritionist friend, Ira concocted a juice from foods that work like natural blood pressure medicines. 2 weeks later, his blood pressure dropped 30 points. What helped save Ira's life, amazed his doctor, is now available to you. Ira and his nutritionist founded 120 Life, a delicious juice and powdered mix with natural ingredients that have shown to lower blood pressure. Try it yourself risk-free with a 2-week trial pack. Go to 120life.com and use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping. They're so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied. Order now, 120life.com. Use coupon code 560 at checkout.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors in Roselle. Summer is here, which is the ideal time to let the sunshine in and brighten up the house. Make those rooms that may appear small, dark, or dingy look better and bigger with larger windows or patio doors. Our highly skilled installers can enlarge openings if your space allows. For decades, Woodland has been transforming living spaces with Marvin windows, featuring styles ranging from modern to traditional. Marvin replacement windows and doors can also bring your backyard right into your living space. Ask us about connecting the inside to the outside. Since 1969, our professional services, along with the best products and installation, are why we are proud of our great online reviews. Need new windows now? Buy now, pay later with 0% financing for 18 months. Terms and conditions apply. Visit woodlandwindows.com and schedule an appointment today. That's woodlandwindows.com.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:38, we'll speak with Julie Kelly about this report she did for Real Clear Investigations identifying the man who could get to the bottom of the failed assassination attempt against Trump. It's clearly not the acting director of the Secret Service who we heard from yesterday. We'll find out who it is at 8:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike.
Well, we'll get Dan interested in the Olympics today. They're trap shooting today, so we'll see if...
I like that, too. That is cool.
Trap shooting and 50-meter rifle goes today at the Olympics. So that should be fun, and the U.S. has won a couple of golds in the last two trap shoot events at the Olympics. 8:32 is our time on AM 560, The Answer. Kamala Harris telling Donald Trump to say it to my face. The Democrat presidential candidate spoke at a campaign rally in Atlanta Tuesday, saying Trump wouldn't debate her, but he and his running mate have a lot to say.
Because as the saying goes, if you've got something to say,
Trump was set to debate Joe Biden on September 10th. Will Venezuela's communist ruler vacate his office today in the midst of post-election upheaval? Demonstrations, massive ones, across multiple cities today.
Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro is still insisting he won national elections this weekend, despite most nations around the world seemingly agreeing with thousands of protesters who claim polling places were interfered with to prevent learning vote tallies. Opposition candidate Edmundo Gonzalez believes he has won with 70% of ballots cast, though the nation's elections officials loyal to Maduro insist the dictator won with a 51% majority. Clashes with security forces resulted in a handful of deaths of protesters. Maduro calls it an attempted coup. In Broward County, Florida, Eben Brown, Fox News.
The Israeli military says it wants to avoid a wider war with Hezbollah. The military saying Israeli fighter jets have eliminated a senior Hezbollah commander near Beirut. A person of interest is being questioned, tied to an armed robbery that took the life of Cook County Sheriff's deputy. Authorities say Raphael Wardlaw was at a gas station at 67th and Marquette when someone approached him and tried to rob him. Gunfire was exchanged. Wardlaw drove off, crashing a few blocks later before being pronounced dead at an area hospital. Former President Donald Trump is headed to town with an invite to the National Association of Black Journalists Convention here in Chicago. Trump will participate in a Q&A today with political journalists. Chicago sports. Bears give DJ Moore new paper. 4 years, $110 million, $82 million guaranteed. Cubs lost to the Reds 6-3. White Sox lost to the Royals 4-3. The news, a service of Crosscom Public Adjusters. If your home or business has an insurance claim, Crosscom will help you get what you need and have coming to you. They've helped thousands. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher wants accountability for the things said about Trump.
But it's very hard for me to get real sympathetic to cries of tamping down the rhetoric when they've called Trump Hitler and Mussolini. And now they're going to tell us that we need to tamp down the rhetoric? My instinct as a veteran broadcaster is to say, okay, I'm all right. How about it starts with you?
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
This message is for anyone looking for $500,000 to $1 million or more of affordable term life insurance, even if you have diabetes, high blood pressure, or taking anxiety meds. Here's an example. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe overweight with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term life insurance may only cost about $200 a month. We're Term Provider, experts in finding affordable term life insurance for those that may not be in perfect health. If you've had prostate cancer, heart conditions, high cholesterol, or on prescription medications, you may still qualify for $500,000 to $1 million or more of affordable term life insurance. Get a quick quote by calling Term Provider at 800-568-2790. 800-568-2790. If you're looking for term life insurance but have type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, or have other health issues, call Term Provider at 800-568-2790 or visit termprovider.com. Termprovider.com.
As everyone can tell, we're living in turbulent times.
During times of uncertainty like World War II and 9/11, people have often turned to God. In times like these, Fox Valley Coins in Naperville, Illinois reminds all Americans of the ancient promise found in 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. This is not a political statement. It's a call to all God-fearing Americans to do as God's word instructs. America needs healing now. Whether you're for the guy on the left or the right or neither, everyone needs to heed the word of God as 2 Chronicles instructs us. May God bless all our leaders and God bless the USA. This message is brought to you by Fox Valley Coins on Route 59, Naperville, Illinois.
If credit card debt is stressing you out and keeping you up at night, you need to call Team Hochberg about a fresh start debt consolidation loan. Meet Billy, 68, veteran, score 658. Income from his 2 jobs, VA benefits, and Social Security totaled $112,000 a year, living in a $275,000 home in Crystal Lake. Billy accumulated $65,000 on his credit card, so he contacted Team Hochberg about a fresh start debt consolidation mortgage. Team Hochberg loan officer Cindy Piazza helped Billy eliminate his credit card debt and saved him over $2,100 a month. Let's review. Cindy helped Billy pay off $27,000 of credit card debt and saved him more than $25,000 a year. What are you waiting for? Team Hochberg helped Billy and thousands of radio listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. That's 855-563-2843 or 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061.
8:38. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Eden's accident, left-hand shoulder outbound near Pratt and between Pratt and Niles Center. Inbound Kennedy at an hour 10 right now from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. And delays on the Stevenson. Your stop and go right now, Harlem to Kenzie on the inbound side. Traffic, a service of Lowe's. Don't miss the 70% off major select appliances at the Lowe's closeout event. Lowe's knows home improvement, valid through 8/7 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Clouds and sun with a drenching thunderstorm today, hot and humid, high 91. Currently clouds and 75. Your next news update is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Before he was grilled by Republican senators on the House Judiciary Committee yesterday, the acting Secret Service Director, Ronald Rowe, acting director, same as the previous director, he explained sort of what happened generally, and that's all he really could offer. Explain generally what happened on July 13th, failed assassination attempt on Trump. It was a failure of a certain kind.
This was a failure of imagination, a failure to imagine that we actually do live in a very dangerous world where people do actually want to do harm to our protectees. I think it was a failure to challenge our own assumptions, the assumptions that we know our partners are going to do everything they can, and they do this every day. But we didn't challenge our own assumptions of, we assume that someone's going to cover that. We assume that there's going to be uniform presence. We didn't challenge that internally during that advance.
The nice little two-step of appearing to accept responsibility while essentially redistributing it to local law enforcement over whom you had authority. That's what he did there. And then in exchanges with Lee and Hawley that we went in particular that we went through earlier in the program, it was a lot of the agency failed, but no individual in the agency failed. So it's a way for the agency to generally take credit for it, collectively take credit for it, but no one will have to individually take credit for it, so everyone individually can keep their positions. We've seen this routine before, and we're seeing it again. By the way, it really fits the description that was provided by this counter sniper who sent out an email to the entire uniformed division within Secret Service. This reporting from Susan Crabtree, Real Clear Politics, in which he basically said he is going to continue speaking out until 5 high-level supervisors, there's one down, I assume he means the former director, 5 high-level supervisors are either fired or removed from their current positions. We have fallen short for years. We just look good doing it. I've conveyed the thoughts about what needs to change to not only supervisors, but also those responsible for training us, only to be brushed off as those with less experience somehow know more than me. He concluded his email, the motto of the United States Secret Service, CYA, cover your arse. And every supervisor is doing it right now. I think that's a fair and accurate depiction of what we got from Acting Director Rowe yesterday. For more on this, and perhaps who can get to the bottom of it, because it seems like the Secret Service and the FBI are going to be less than forthcoming, as is their wont. We're pleased to be joined by Julie Kelly. She is the author of the Substack Declassified with Julie Kelly. Declassified with Julie Kelly is her Substack. And her book, January 6th, How Democrats Used the Capitol Protest to Launch a War of Terror Against the Political Right. Julie, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
So your piece for speaking of Real Clear Politics, realclearinvestigations.com, your piece identifies an individual who you believe could get to the bottom of the Trump shooting if he was provided the encouragement and authority and political backing to do so. Who's that?
So this is an individual named Joseph Kafari. He is the Trump-appointed Inspector General for the Department of Homeland Security. Now, the Secret Service is under DHS, which a lot of people are not aware of. He has been investigating the Secret Service's role or lack thereof and other scandals with the agency related to the events of January 6th. So his report has been done for at least the last few months, sitting on the Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas' desk, at least since April. Mayorkas is refusing to release that report because it will have damaging information about the Secret Service, with some ties to July 13th, but also, more importantly, why the text messages belonging to at least 24 Secret Service officials, including Kim Cheadle, the now resigned former head of the Secret Service, why those text messages were deleted at the end of January 2021. This is something that Kafari uncovered himself as he was investigating. He was being stonewalled by top DHS and Secret Service officials into this investigation. They then started attacking Kafari, trying to discredit him. So we're waiting to see that report, Dan, to see exactly who was responsible for deleting those texts, why they were never recovered, and maybe some information as to what those text messages revealed.
Well, when do you think we're going to get those text messages?
Well, Amy, it's interesting because how can the Department of Homeland Security, with all the surveillance and intelligence tools that they have, law enforcement tools, how could they not recover these text messages? Why did they authorize whoever was responsible at the time? Mayorkas was confirmed a few weeks after these text messages were deleted, but they had already received preservation notices from Congress, every federal agency, to keep any evidence related to the events of January 6th, to preserve all of it, because it was going to be under investigation by, of course, the FBI and then Congress. So why were these messages deleted? So he's going to, we assume, and I've been told by congressional sources that this report will address that. Also recall, the Secret Service, we're told, missed the pipe bomb that was outside the DNC headquarters on January 6th. Now, why is that important? Their protectee, Kamala Harris, was at the DNC headquarters when that device allegedly was found recovered, and she was evacuated out of the building. Was this another lapse in their duty, or was there really not a pipe bomb there, as we were told the night before, and someone set it there? So this is something else Kafari reportedly looked into, investigated, and we're anxious to see his findings on that.
The issue, though, is how much can he really identify, and how many answers can he really get to if the agency stonewalls, agencies plural, stonewall him? I mean, yeah, this very much has the feel like talking about the Horowitz reports on the FBI's conduct during the Russian collusion witch hunt. And yeah, Horowitz, documented some lapses in professional judgment and behavior that was not consistent with policy and so on and so forth. But it was all sort of sanitized, even though it was unmistakable, and it accomplished a little bit in terms of providing some explanation for the conduct and confirming some of what we sort of assumed to be true. But, I mean, it didn't really result in any serious reckoning for the Department of Justice or the FBI.
That's right, Dan. And I think that is how we create people like Kim Cheadle or Ronald Rowe or Christopher Wray or Paula Bate, who's the deputy FBI director. This is what happens when no one is held accountable. When no one is held accountable for framing President Trump, concocting the Russia collusion hoax, opening a special counsel office for 2 years to try to legally, financially destroy people over something that was completely fabricated, partially by the FBI, then this is what we get, right? We get a Ronald Rowe screaming at Josh Hawley yesterday, defending his employees who didn't do their job that day, almost got President Trump killed, screaming at a U.S. senator, claiming his people are being persecuted. I mean, that was like a surreal moment watching that unfold, because he is in a long line from Jim Comey to Sally Yates, Andy McCabe, go through the long list of Russia collusion hoaxsters. And this is what we get. So I think that is the really frustrating part. Now back to the IG, at least we will get some information. Horowitz did give us a lot of information. He also told us who wasn't cooperating. And I think that this is what the Kafari report could do as well at DHS.
Right, but then we're trying to, pull bits and pieces of information out from these obstinate agencies for years to come. Like we saw even this week, John Solomon reporting over at Just the News, some new emails that he has been able to extract through FOIA and whatever other means that should be unnecessary but are necessary. Emails that suggest, well, wait a second, the Pelosi's people had warnings about the possibility of a breach, and there's these exchanges between her sergeant at arms and federal law enforcement and so forth. And it's just, and it's like the Pelosi conversation with her chief of staff in real time on January 6th that was released a few weeks back. I mean, this is three and a half years later, and everything still dribbles out, and you have to pull teeth to get anything to try to put together a comprehensive understanding of what did and didn't happen.
Right. And the worst part of all of that, of course, is that you have people sitting in prison for years because of whatever failures. Now, I have my own suspicions about that email and about the performance by Nancy Pelosi, but we could talk about that another day, because people like Sean Gallagher and her staff, Paul Irving, those are not necessarily trustworthy people at all. But I do want to go back to the IG, not just Kafari, because he has opened 2 investigations into July 13th. But what Chris Wray said last week, we're also still waiting for the DOJ, IG Michael Horowitz report into the FBI and DOJ's role in January 6th. And what he said last week, and I've also heard this, is that report will address the number and the level of involvement of FBI confidential human sources, also known as informants, in January 6th. That's a big question. That's probably the question I get the most. So hopefully we will get some more answers about that.
We also have this. The FBI is getting back into conversations with social media platforms. Oh, good. They plan to resume regular meetings in the coming weeks with social media companies to brief them about foreign malign influence threats. Right, it's the foreign threats that are malign. There's a July 12 memo that was made public as part of a 58-page report from DOJ Inspector General Michael Horowitz, who we were just talking about. And there are examples where the FBI, I guess, has done some legitimate work. In 2020, according to Horowitz, the FBI became aware of an online video threatening American voters that was purportedly created by the Proud Boys, but actually created by Iranian nationals seeking to influence American voters. FBI passed this information on to the relevant social media company, which removed the Iranian video. But, of course, we know that most of what they did was trying to work on behalf of the Biden candidacy. And I mean, since the leadership hasn't changed materially, we should expect probably the same thing. The Wall Street Journal also reporting on this very naively that we should be concerned. We should. It's good that they're interdicting foreign malign influences, but we should be concerned that they crossed the line. But the good news is that most of the social media companies reported, according to the Horowitz report, a good working relationship with the FBI. Well, yeah, they have a good working relationship with them because they agree on what they're both doing. I mean, that's not a positive thing. That's called That's actual collusion, what we saw in 2020.
We did. And by the way, what happened to the Wall Street Journal? I mean, they just regurgitate whatever they're told by the regime. Very disappointing. But yes, so we saw this in 2020. We know that the FBI, particularly the San Francisco field office under Elvis Chan, was in almost daily communications with big tech platforms to censor both the material from Hunter Biden's laptop. We were told that was Russian disinformation, something the FBI went along with as well, but also to censor criticism about absentee voting. So they were in cahoots in 2020. So now, to your point, we're supposed to think that this is a good idea. And now they've moved from Russia to Iran, right? They know that they've exhausted the Russia line. So now they're moving to Iran. You saw Merrick Garland's interview, and you've seen this with the FBI, sort of suggesting that Thomas Crooks might have been a tool of the Iranian regime to assassinate Donald Trump. No. You just can't move the chairs around the Titanic. You can't just blame what you guys are responsible for, your failures, possibly behind the scenes doing something as well, and now blame it on Iran, who, by the way, the Democrats have emboldened. We know that.
Our partner in peace, I recall not so long ago, I thought. Yeah.
Right.
So,
right.
Julie, what are your sources saying about the shooter, Crooks?
Not a lot, but I think, Amy, one thing that should raise red flags is the fact that the FBI said he had encrypted app chats on his devices. The FBI claiming that they could not get into those encrypted apps. That, to me, is highly suspicious. I don't think that there is a chance he was not in communication with some sort of government asset, perhaps an FBI informant, undercover agent, or a DHS agent. They have sources as well. That, to me, does not pass the smell test. It's just unfathomable that this 20-year-old could pull this off on his own, that he was not somehow instructed or incited or motivated to do this by other agents or agencies, because we've seen this recently. Whitmer Fednapping hoax, January 6th. They just did this to a man in Nevada a few months ago, set him up, FBI informant. So,
but we don't have any evidence of communications between him and any of these agencies at this point.
No, but as she just said, they can't get in because it's encrypted, right?
Correct. I mean, I don't trust the FBI. I don't trust anything that they say.
I don't trust them either, but I just want to sort of make sure we set the table of what we understand and what we don't understand and questions we have, and it's fine to ask questions. Yeah, okay. All right, Julie Kelly, her Substack is declassified. The report that she was just talking about on the DHS Inspector General Joseph Kafari, you can find at realclearinvestigations.com. And also, if you haven't, pick up her book, January 6th, How Democrats Use the Capitol Protests to launch a war on terror against the political right. Julie, thank you as always.
Thank you. Glad to have you. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Sean Thompson. When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in the suitcase. Sounds like a stressful way to begin what should be a relaxing time. Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to reduce future taxes, address Social Security and health care, and a whole lot more, all with a clear, defined income strategy. Call the Alpha Wealth Group at 630-934-1855. Ask for the complimentary retirement plan. That's 630-934-1855 or online at alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. right here on AM 560.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
Honey, what are we going to do with your grandparents' old coins and jewelry?
I'm pretty sure they're worth some money.
You've been saying that for years.
Okay, how about PGS Gold and Coin? They're the best when it comes to selling family valuables.
And you know this because...
PGS, when it comes to your valuables, they're the best.
Do that again.
PGS, when it comes to your valuables, they're the best.
Isn't that the place Jeff sold his grandmother's jewelry when she passed?
Yep, he checked out pgsgoldandcoin.com and found tons of positive reviews. He was blown away by how much he got. Do you? Oh, you're already on the site.
Almost. pgsgoldandcoin.com.
PGS Gold and Coin, the upscale way of selling your coins, jewelry, diamonds, and collectibles. Family owned and operated for over 14 years. Rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau, now with 4 Chicagoland locations. And they make house calls. 888-416-2701 or pgsgoldandcoin.com.
PGS. When it comes to your valuables, they're the best.
AM 560, The Answer.
Deputy, anything to add?
No. I'm done. I've given all I have to give today. I'll recharge
you got
like an EV.
You got something to say to me?
No.
Say it to me.
Oh, yeah.
I'm channeling my inner Kamala.
Yeah, I'm going to go out and try to walk
to say?
my talk, like Quavo says. I always like that. I always like that Quavo's got some keen observations on the human condition.
Tomorrow, Quavo meets Corn Pop. Had a great day, great time today, very informative as always. Thanks to Justin Kosick and Quinn McCarthy. Couldn't do anything without them.